No.
I think we're back over there.
Shelby County's methods and drug drivers. The thing is, he said Julie Edwards' daughter, Ryan Andrews, and that was like I went from 0 to 'cause
Okay, I have 7 o'clock. I'd like to call the February 9th, 2023 Shelby County Board meeting to order. We'll lead off with the call to order as the prayer and followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. We all rise and remove our hats for prayer.
Dear Jesus, we thank you for this day that you've given us. We thank you for the country that you allow us to live in. We thank you for the freedoms that we have and for the young men and women that are willing to fight and lay down their lives so that we can share and have that freedom. Lord, we come to you today and ask you to guide us in our decision making. Help us to lead this county in the direction that you would have it to go. Help us to all remain calm and remain friendly and know that at the end of the day we want what's best for this county. Now watch and guide over this meeting tonight and be with us as we travel home. In your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mark Bennett. Here. Teresa Bank. Here. Cody Brands.
Here.
Tim Brown.
Here.
Carol Cole. Here. Charles Davis. Julie Edwards. Here. Martha Fernhaber. Here. Clay Hardy. Here. Matt Kessler.
Here.
Annette Martin. Here. Tad Mayhall. Here. Keith McCormick.
Here.
Tim Morse.
Here.
Lori Nelson. Here. David Ogden.
Here.
Bobby Orman.
Here.
Sonny Ross.
Here.
Mitchell Schuff. Don Tate.
Here.
Brett Wallace.
Here.
Jeremy Williams.
Here. Do we have a quorum? Item 3 is approval of the minutes from January 12th regular meeting. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the January 12th meeting. Cody Brands makes the motion. Matt Kessler seconds. Any discussion? Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 4 is approval of the minutes from the January 30th special meeting. Entertain a motion to approve the January 30th special meeting. Motion by Martha, second by Brent. Any discussion? Tim?
I feel like that the meeting was illegally recessed because there was not a second and there was not a vote.
I don't think it requires that. There wasn't an adjournment.
But still, for recess, I believe it should.
I believe so. Any other discussion?
If we're having a discussion, are you sure that it doesn't require that?
I'd have to look back at Robert's rules and OMA, but I'm 90% certain that it's not required. Anybody would like to speak to it? Tad.
Robert's rules. Temporary break in the meeting should state a time in which the meeting will resume. The second required non-debatable, not amendable.
That's Robert's rules.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So is there a question of OMA?
Question about what?
OMA. Did we violate OMA? Or did I violate OMA? Did we,
And the way you adjourned it?
the way I recessed it? Tim spoke, sorry, Tad spoke to Robert's rules. Now I'm asking about OMA. So hearing none, no more discussion. Is there any more discussion? I had a motion by Martha and a second by, who seconded it? It was Brent. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Aye.
Tim and Ted
Aye.
vote no. and Teresa and Carol. Motion carries. Moving on to item 5 is public body comment. We do have a 5 minute rule to public body comment per person. The time cannot be yielded to anybody else. That is according to board minutes of past boards. I'd like to open the floor to public body comment. Yes, sir, in front, would you identify yourself, please?
My name is Chris Payne. I grew up here in Shelbyville. My wife and I were high school sweethearts that met running cross country for Kevin Kramer. We've been together for 25 years this year, married 14. We moved back to the area from St. Louis in 2015. I built a house in 2016, built my own home with my dad. We wanted to be close to friends, family, and nature. We love it here. I found a deep and I hope lasting peace on the ground where both of our families made their stake. I know my politics aren't the same as most folks around here. If you'd have told me 6 months ago that my new best friend would be an 80-year-old Republican and I'd be standing with a group of folks, some who voted for the former president, to speak out against injustice in our county, I probably would have said you're insane. I couldn't have predicted that. But here we are, and some of my new best friends don't share much ideologically with me, other than that we believe in being honest and treating people with kindness and fairness. We believe in community, and has restored my faith in humanity after some pretty dark years. I don't want to go on and on about that. I want to share my opinion about what I think is going on in the county. I'll be direct and say clearly that this is my opinion. I think there's an obvious alliance between the board, some witting and some unwitting, the ECWD, Brad Hallbrook, and the new state's attorney, Robert Hanlon, to sell the county farm and persecute political enemies. I can't prove that yet, and I may never be able to. But it is what I think, and not just some figment of my imagination that I pulled from the ether. Let me tell you what I've seen from my research into the path that led us here tonight. The ECWD started writing about Shelby County during the 2016 election when Brad Hallbrook was running for state rep. They wrote what I would call hit pieces on his opponents, Randy Peterson and Jim Appellate. Hallbrook won a close primary and then became the state rep for the 102nd District. The ECWD then began writing piece after piece on how corrupt the county government was. I haven't agreed with any evidence of corruption they found, and I've read almost everything to this point, some pieces multiple times. I checked statutory language, I consulted lawyer friends, and I used my research skills as a PhD in the process. We don't need to go scandal by scandal, because the message of every article is the same over and over. Shelby County is corrupt. If you ruin faith in old leaders, you can replace those intransigent to selling the farm with those who will do what they are told. The new state's attorney, Robert Hanlon, wrote a legal opinion about the farm that basically makes it nuclear in terms of the legal peril associated with it. There are numerous articles from the dogs that roughly do the same. The idea is to make it too scary to touch so that the board, fearing legal consequences, and the public, sick of hearing about it, want to sell it. Mark Bennett tried to do so at a board meeting in 2021, but was foiled. Hence, everyone but a handful of that old board is now gone. Anyone that would stand in the way has been replaced. Republicans, Democrats, state's attorney, everyone. My question is why? I don't buy for a second that these guys from Edgar County are here to root out corruption. No one they've called a criminal in Shelby County has been indicted, let alone convicted. The whole point, the whole time, in my opinion, has been to help Brad sell the farm. And in the path from 2016 to here is a whole lot of damage to the community and its people. Why, folks? Why? Why does he want to sell it so bad that he's willing to turn our entire county into a vicious civil war? I hate all of this. I loathe it. I don't have to agree with my neighbors to love them, but I do need them to be honest. Before last board meeting, I stopped Clay Hardy up there and introduced myself. We ran against each other for the county board. I know his brother Matt, and I like him. I always have. Clay was as nice as could be. That's the first time I've ever met him, and he reminds me of Matt. They've got the same smile and the same happy-go-lucky air about him. I don't hold any grudges. This isn't political for me. This is my home, and I'm tired of seeing it torn apart for one man's selfish pursuit of selling off our land. And he doesn't have the decency or integrity to tell us why he wants to do it. I asked Clay who the candidate was for state's attorney, and he showed me Mr. Hanlon's resume outside. He didn't think he had anything to hide. I hate that people like the ECWD and Brad Hallbrook are using the goodwill of people like Clay Hardy to hurt our county. We don't have to let them do it. We don't have to let them tear us apart. And I sure wish more people would see that. They aren't here to help us. Their agenda isn't in the best interest of the county. That's all I have to say right now. But I won't be silent or silenced by anyone when it comes to speaking my mind about the place I love enough to call my home. I owe that to my neighbors. Too long I've held that support back, and I won't ever do that again. I promise all of you that. Thank you.
You timed that well. There's 3 seconds left on the timer.
Not too bad.
Any other public body comment? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Rachel Smith. I grew up in Shelbyville, the daughter of a preacher and a nurse. In the early 90s, my mom became very ill with an autoimmune disease. She was in and out of the hospital for what seemed like forever, trying to figure out what was killing her. No longer having the support of my mom's nursing income and only my dad's income from the ministry, which was not much, we were struggling financially to pay my mom's medical bills. This community came together to organize a benefit fundraiser, as they have for many others in our community. That support enabled us to get through a very difficult time. I was able to go on to college, obtain a degree in accounting, and become a certified public accountant. I'd like to thank the community for the support that brought us through that difficult time. As a CPA with financial statement audit experience, I sometimes need to rely on the work of other auditors to complete audit engagements that I work on. The first step I always take is to download the audit firm's peer review report to add to the documentation in the audit file. This is one way to demonstrate that they are a reliable firm that meets professional standards. Upon reviewing Benford Brown's proposal for the county audit, I noted that there was no peer review report included in the December 30th, 2021 proposal. I was curious, so I searched for it on the publicly available AICPA database. I found the most recent report on the firm's System of Quality Control dated June 30th, 2021, as well as a few other documents. In the opinion section of the report, peer review firm Watson Rice stated, quote, firms can receive a rating of pass with deficiencies, or fail. Benford Brown and Associates LLC has received a peer review rating of pass with deficiencies, end quote. Upon further review of the report, the deficiencies are related to the firm's quality control policies and procedures that the report states are, quote, are not designed to provide reasonable assurance that the engagement team has the requisite knowledge to perform engagements in accordance with professional standards, end quote. The report explains how this determination was made based on a review of the continuing professional education that the firm requires of personnel. The report states, quote, in our opinion, the lack of CPE contributed to a single audit, audits of employee benefit plans, and a state and local government engagement that did not conform to professional standards in all material respects, end quote. The second deficiency was surrounding the firm's monitoring procedures. The report states, quote, in our opinion, the lack of an effective inspection monitoring program contributed to the engagements noted above that did not conform to professional standards in all material respects. A similar matter was also noted on the prior review, end quote. The other documents on the website include Benford Brown's June 30th, 2021 response to the Peer Review Alliance Committee outlining the remedial actions they plan to take in order to be in compliance with professional standards. Benford Brown's letter states, quote, the firm will perform the admitted procedures within 90 days or no later than September 30th, 2021, end quote. A letter dated October 15th, 2021 from the Peer Review Alliance Committee to Benford Brown agreed to the remedial actions and requested that the firm hire an outside party acceptable to the committee to visit the firm and determine whether those corrective actions had actually been implemented. The deadline imposed was June 30th, 2022. The next document was a letter from the Peer Review Committee dated May 23rd, 2022, which granted an extension to Benford Brown per their request with regard to the hiring of an outside party to verify that those remedial actions had in fact been taken. An extension was granted until August 31st, 2022. The next letter from the committee, dated August 30th, 2022, granted yet another extension per Benford Brown's request for the same item until September 30th, 2022. And there was another letter. It was dated October 20th, 2022, granting yet another extension per Benford Brown's request for the same item until November 15th, 2022. This is the most recent documentation available on the website, so I do not know if Benford Brown has actually met those standards yet. How did the board select this firm for the county audit? Were there any other bids obtained? If the board has been receiving outside recommendations for attorneys and accountants, I'm curious if the board and county treasurer are performing any due diligence on those recommendations. Did any board members request the peer review report from the firm? Why would the board select a firm that has a peer review report with a determination that they pass with deficiencies, particularly on the type of audit the firm will be performing for the county? Can the board shed any light on the due diligence performed in selecting this firm for that county audit? What guidance was provided to you in selecting this firm? Did the county treasurer recommend them on their research credentials? Was there no audit firm in the surrounding area that could perform this audit? Thank you for your time and consideration.
Do you have contact information so that if somebody wants to contact you with answers to those questions, we
That'd be
can?
great.
We can get that to you at the end of the day.
Okay, perfect.
Any other public body comment? In the back.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Reagan. I'm an employee here at the courthouse and a Shelby County citizen. And I could stand up here and talk about how many things certain individuals have done wrong. I could point out laws that they have broken or information that has been purposely misrepresented or construed for others to be put down and shamed. I could point out the lies and the hostile work environment that the employees here in this county have had to endure. I'm not going to do that because it would not change what damage has already been done here in this county. I'm standing here because I'm concerned about the safety of our county. I'm concerned that this board appointed an attorney with no resume. The only thing that I know about him for sure is that he has sent threatening letters to members of our community. He's currently a legal counsel for 2 unnamed parties that were in the room last Thursday. And then he has also represented one of our elected officials. I'm still shocked. That seemed like a good idea to 14 of you sitting on the board. It looked to me like most of you were blindsided as well. I really feel bad that you're not allowed to think for yourself and make your own decisions. I can honestly say that is not leadership. What we have here on this county board is dictatorship. So as long as you do as you're told, all is well. Step out of line and they'll sweep you out the door like you were never here. Mr. Orman said he's made mistakes. We all have, really. But the difference is, I did not see his picture plastered all over Facebook shaming his actions or decisions. I didn't see Mr. Williams calling for his resignation like he did past board members. You were all elected to be the voice for this county. Instead of helping or fixing things, you have now become part of the problem. For those citizens who may be wondering why our former state attorney left, I thought I would share what may have helped her make that decision to go elsewhere. Around the first part of December, a letter was sent to other counties regarding our state's attorney. I will highlight a couple of points from that letter, signed by Mr. Williams. I have begun recruiting for the 2024 election. One of our biggest needs is a state's attorney. This is a vitally important office, and due to the deep issues we face here in Shelby County, the need for a good state's attorney is of an unusually high priority. It was shortly after this letter was distributed that our former state's attorney put in her resignation. I wanted to be more transparent with the citizens of our county as to what really happens outside the cameras and the videos. The fact that only a few select board members receive emails and invites to the so-called caucuses and open meetings that seem to miss being posted sometimes should make it clear that our county board needs to really look at their leadership and do the right thing by actually working and serving the people that voted you here. You have really betrayed them as well. People are not going to forget when crime rises here again. If we don't have a state's attorney to support our law enforcement, our officers will leave again. This county has lost so many good employees already. And each of you up there should ask yourself, why am I here? And if it's to serve yourself, then I think you should step down. In the words of John F. Kennedy, let us not seek the Republican answer or Democratic answer, but the right answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public body comment? Yes, Susan.
Lisa Sweeney. I want to, first of all, thank reporter Rob Stroud from the Herald and Review for posting the video of Robert Hanlon speaking last Thursday night. It revealed the truth behind Mr. Hanlon's appointment. And I especially want to thank the 5 board members that voted no against appointing Robert Hanlon as our state's attorney. You had the insight to notice something was wrong because of the complete and total secrecy of the candidate, and you still had the courage to vote accordingly. So thank you. I sent a FOIA request to all county board members asking if they had received any emails, documents from either Chairman Orman or Republican Party Chairman Jeremy Williams regarding Robert Hanlon's appointment. So far, I've yet to receive Chairman Orman's response, and all other responses indicate those members received no such documents or emails. This is very concerning on many levels. First of all, Chairman Orman and Party Chairman Williams were intentionally keeping his name and information a secret from their fellow board members, and we're hoping to keep it a secret from the public. How is that being transparent? The other disturbing fact is it proves that each of you who voted yes had no desire to learn about Robert Hanlon before voting on his appointment. You are an elected official, and this is how nonchalantly you make important decisions which impact the entire county. You didn't care about his qualifications, his references, his trial experience. Why is he willing and wanting to relocate to Shelby County? Or his past work experience, which was actually disclosed before you even voted. Ignorance is not bliss. Your non-action shows where your allegiance lies, and it's not with the citizens of Shelby County that you vowed to serve. I wonder if any of you now realize the massive mistake you made last Thursday night. I hope and pray in the future each of you will not just silently and obediently follow your leaders, because neither Chairman Orman or Republican Party Chairman Jeremy Williams are displaying the integrity or transparency required to be a good public leader. The county is being misled, and we are headed down a terrible path with these 2 men at the helm. It is your decision if you want to follow them and their Chicago-style attorney, or listen to the hardworking, tax-paying constituents that voted you onto this board. You will be held accountable, so choose wisely.
Hey, Bobby.
Sir.
I would like to correct one of her statements. Bobby is not the only one that has not returned his. I have not either.
I know.
But what I ask is, be factual, and that was not factual.
Okay, I apologize, Mark. If that's the only thing you have to argue about, that says a lot as well.
Any other public comments?
Bobby, I'm sitting here listening to this and I can't sit down. Lisa, I gotta address you because I'm not a follower. I had all of the district that voted me to sit here and do my best. We've had 3 months. And I'll look you square in the eye and tell you, I have not had one phone call from the people that voted me in saying, what are you doing, Dave?
Well,
Okay?
maybe that'll change after tonight.
And maybe it will, and I will report to you. But I have trouble sitting here listening to everything you're telling, and you're telling, when I'm not hearing nothing. So to me, it seems like a small group, and I'm like, guys, it's been 3 years. 3 years.
We're growing. We're growing.
And that's fine. Now you're up to 100. But there was several thousand that voted for us, and you've got to give me more than 90 days to try and work on things. I worked with Jeff Slifer sitting in a meeting. We got the county farm result. Why are you bringing it up? It's written. It's happening.
Well, we'll keep watching. We're paying attention. We're paying attention. We're watching, guys. Right. We're just putting you on notice.
That's fine.
We're paying attention.
I didn't have to stand up. I just want to be on record saying, I am working.
All we're doing is telling the truth.
Mr. Austin, if you see anything wrong, with the way our new state's attorney was brought in here. No, I did not. Seriously. Okay. No, because that says a lot. So why didn't people contact me? I have a host of people. Nobody knew who
Everything
was
happened so
coming.
quickly. It was
Why didn't you encourage your caucus to tell people about this individual? Why do we have to reach out to you to tell us what's going on? It's your responsibility to tell us what you're looking at.
It's a Republican seated position, and I need to
Point
sit
of order.
I'm sorry.
That's such.
Any other public body comment? In the back there, sir.
Jim Slifer. I don't need to harp on Hanlon. You guys have got that covered. We're going to have correspondence with him later this summer, but that's fine. I do have a couple questions. Number one, being you brought up the farm, is any nitrogen put on wheat yet?
Did you put it in the budget?
It's in the budget.
So,
Does anybody on the farm committee know? Because in my area, I'm going to say probably 95% of it's on.
it's coming on, yes.
Okay, so you are aware it does need
Yeah, and
nitrogen.
there's other things that we have to look forward to that wasn't in there, like pertaining to the beans, you know, for the.
Such as?
But that's another discussion, I'm sorry.
Well, you brought it up. I'd like to know what it is.
Well, did you budget for the double crop beans?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure did.
I haven't seen that in any of the.
Yeah, trust me, it's in there.
Okay.
Another thing, animal control, your resolution there, I don't know what item number it is on the agenda. What's the numbers and where did you come up with them at?
I don't know, I didn't put it on the agenda.
Is the state's attorney one of them? Moultrie County, new one, old one? Anybody looked at that?
Don?
I was given that note by Brad Hudson, the animal control officer. He said those were approved at a prior animal control board meeting.
Who wrote the resolution?
I did.
You did? Do you have the numbers here tonight, what you're going to raise the fees to?
Resolution?
Do you have the numbers, what you're raising the fees to, Don?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Jeff, I was at the committee meeting that you guys had when you discussed raising the fees, and I believe Brad brought the fees to you at that committee meeting that day.
That was a 6-month process. Which meeting were you at?
Well, I was at one where Brad was discussing with you and Doc
We
Spessard
done
and,
that for 6 months.
I'm sorry.
We done that for 6 months.
Okay, so this is the resolution, and I'm assuming that's where the numbers came from. But I know it has been talked previously about raising, Brad thought there was a need to raise the animal control fees.
I was told one
This is
time-
not new information.
I was told at one time that the state's attorney is the one that sets the fees and fines within the county. That's why I'm wanting to know if the state's attorney has ever looked at it. I could be wrong there, but that's what I was told.
Did the committee at that time submit them to Nicole?
That's where they have to go.
That's what we were told.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just saying, I know that this has been discussed for a while. Sure.
Okay, any other public body comment? Yes, ma'am.
I think we understand, Dave, what you're saying, like, we all do trust you, and that's why I've never paid attention to anything, because we trust that you're going to do your job. But if you can't see the pattern here of what's going on, you should all take a look, because Robert Hanlon said it was illegal to farm the farm, or lease the farm. I don't even know the language, someone else will have to say it. And now he's the state's attorney, and now we have an auditor that's also connected to the watchdogs. This is my opinion, and I actually don't know. You can correct me tomorrow. But there is something to it. There's no doubt. There's so much information, and if you want to know all of it, there's no one that's researched more than my mom and dad about it. So if you want to come in, or if you want to, I will contact all of you and will ask you, are you thinking for yourself, or are you thinking, I already have to a few of you, or are you thinking what the watchdogs think? because to me, I don't understand personally why we listen to them. I don't understand. If we have a question, like if we have a question about the farm, we go to them, and I don't understand. I want to truly believe in my heart that they started for a really good reason, because I trust people and I believe people are good more than I should probably. So I think they probably started at the right reasons, but I don't think they're plowing along with the right reasons. And I think we all look to them, or I don't, but it seems like a lot of people look to them for their advice. And I don't understand it. I mean, my mom and dad spend hours and hours and hours and hours on every issue that's going on in the county. So if anyone wants to stop by the store, we might not be as busy for a couple weeks, so get in fast. But I just don't understand it. I wish every one of you could explain to us, and I'll be sending you all an email, why we look to them for everything. And I can put my phone up and do a live. I don't understand that either, why we have to have, I don't get that, but whatever. So that's it.
Any other public body comment? Yes, sir.
Chairman Skinner, I will, and I'll explain to you why I value their presence and why I appreciate them being here. And we're friends from a long time ago, so I know we can have that conversation.
Sure.
What was the reason for the phone? What was that?
I was just saying, we act like they're the only ones that can do a live. I don't know why someone else isn't. I know that's part of the agenda, so I don't getting our own website or our own live.
For a couple months about getting our own.
Right.
So even with committee meetings, we will do that also.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
Any other public body comment?
Tim Morris. I just would, we have a majority Republican board. And for things like this to happen, and for this many people to be upset, that doesn't look good for Republicans. I don't know what the answer is. Perhaps we shouldn't be voting as Republicans, but we should be voting for the people we represent and voting what they want, because that's the voices that we should be listening to.
Correct.
Public body comment.
What I'd like to say is it doesn't matter. We're all neighbors. We all live here. We might have different ideas, guys, but we can come together. Together we can get it done. Any problem, any situation, any discussion, together.
Yes, what was your name, ma'am?
My name's Marilyn Nexera.
Public body comment?
Yeah, after a night and the crowd we have here, what do you think the public thinks? I think they think we're being destroyed is what I think they think. And we are. This is complete craziness. We got everybody in this room yelling at each other when we're all good people. I just don't understand it. I mean, what is happening? Why are we trying to sell our farm? Who's guilty? Would you tell me one person that's guilty of anything? There aren't any. There's no one in Shelby County in public office guilty of one thing. We can farm the farm just like dozens of other farms are doing if we want to. That's just all a bullshit story.
Public body comment.
Kevin McKittrick, where to begin? Somebody needs to set the record straight. I've never seen a bunch of pompous ass crybabies. What do we got, 30 people in here laughing at a wall? I'm gonna get to some pretty good stuff. Can I have the floor, Mr. Speaker?
Keep your language appropriate.
Yeah, Jack. Appropriate. Well, let's talk about this farm that's been debated for 3 years. It was pretty much resolved last summer. And after last Thursday's meeting, I have a board member come up. Well, they're going to sell the farm. Jake out here in the hallway yelling, it's all about this farm. I thought this was done.
No, it wasn't.
Well, it is, and here's why. I want to explain something that board members in this room from past still don't understand what the public purpose test was. The state's attorney that back then argued and made opinions, so nobody could get something from the AG. So when Rob Hanlon was hired for a public opinion, he gave it, and it finally ended up in the board's hands, and guess what happened then? They finally realized they could not cash rent that farm. It did not pass the public purpose test, and that's when the county farm committee got to working on it, and then they got the board working, and they tried. I went to every farm meeting, and they struggled to find a way to lawfully farm that farm under the state constitution. I'm talking Jack, or Jake, all right? So,
Go ahead.
yeah, thank you. So then the board started looking for ways, and they finally come up with this custom farming that met this public purpose test. And then they was allowed to move forward and try to make money. They're in their first year of it. Let's let it work. I haven't heard nobody say, we just can't wait to sell this farm. You people need to get over some of this.
Would you like to see a list of the 25 or 30 counties?
You know, yeah, I've seen that and read that so many times. It's just like the old board. You fail to refuse to understand. Your ignorance of the law, it's just like when they nominated Hanlon last week, that was damn near done to the letter of the law. Okay, I'm going to educate you, boys. But you don't know, and you're going to learn here. Listen to this. That Central Republican Committee is the one responsible for vetting that candidate. And that's the precinct committeeman and the 5-member on the committee and their chair. That's the way it works. Bobby said that it was going to be political in nature, and that's why, because it was a Republican that left. So they had to make a nomination appointment to give to the board chair. And they vetted that guy, they interviewed him, his resume, they asked him questions. It's their job to nominate, or to appoint, and the board chair to nominate, and the board only votes yay or nay. It's as if all of them wanted to, or some of them wanted to put him on the witness stand and vet him and ask him questions for hours. That's not the way it works, folks. It ain't no different a year or two ago when they was trying to fill a vacancy in District 10 up here. And the Republican committee come up with somebody they thought would work. And they did. But the board decided, I heard the debate, well, it's our right to vote how we want. No, it ain't. You're to fill that vacancy so those 1,800 people have representation. And they didn't do it. The people in the fall will decide at the election who they want to represent them in court, or in this board. It's simple as that. It's basic common knowledge. Oh boy, I could go on and on. But as Forrest Gump said, you can't fix stupid. We got people that was on that board for years, and they still don't know what the public purpose test is of our state constitution. Time up. Sorry, Bob. Thank you.
Public body comment.
Mr. Shea.
Mark.
No. Make sure you sign.
Mark.
Thank you, Chairman. I have listened to all of you talk about the farm over and over. You can go back in the video from when I first presented on what our options were. And I believe it's still on the Watchdog site, because I think I looked at it about 2 weeks ago. A statement tonight was made that I said I wanted to sell the farm. Go back and look at the video, because what you'll find is I said the only black and white answer that I can see in our laws that we have as present is that you can sell the farm. That doesn't mean I want to sell the farm. I have listened to a lot of you put out false information. It's just not there. You really need to go in and read everything. No, it's my turn to talk. I'm sorry, you had your 5 minutes. I have 5 minutes. Mr. Slater and myself and Jeff, if you want to say something that differs from what I say about this, please do. But Jeff and I worked together over and over. We spent hundreds of hours on the phone together, trying to come up with a way to make the farm work. This was even before Jeff was on the farm committee. We tried a lot of different ways, and in fact, Dave got in with us, Mr. Shelf. But we talked a lot on the phone, didn't we, Jeff?
Yeah, sure did.
And in fact, we had a conversation with Mr. Patterson. And we thought we had something worked out in the fall of 2020, or was it 21? 2020. We come up with a way to lease the farm, or to rent the farm out by custom farming it. Jeff and I talked the day before, almost 24 hours straight. 2 hours before we come here for a meeting to approach all of the rest of the members, I get a call from Jeff. The others aren't going to do it. What I mean the others was the people that Jeff talked to mostly, which are not here now, and myself. It tore me up so much, I almost didn't come that night because I worked so hard on it, and Jeff had worked on it so hard. He was tore apart, I was tore apart because of all the time we put into it. And you know how it's being farmed right now? It's exactly what I was going to present that night. It wasn't going to go through because I was going to present it, and I was on a group of Republicans that, what'd you have, 8 in favor, and everybody else was against. But if Jeff presented it, because he was friends with the other group, it would have went. In fact, I believe it's stated during the meeting that I had pulled what I was going to do. And then what was it, Jeff? 6 or 8 months later then, when you presented it?
Well, you want to know the truth, Mark, the only reason I intervened in that time, I liked you and I didn't want to make you look like an idiot. I cared that much about you, Mark.
But we worked a lot. And Jeff and I don't talk anymore. This tore us apart. But what he come up with was the exact same thing I did. What we both came up with. And you guys keep talking about what to sell the farm. Did we ever say we were going to sell the farm?
Mark, I'm not the one to come up with that all on my own. That's all committee related.
Okay, but we never said anything about selling the farm. You or I never did. Did we? I'm sorry you guys think the farm is the most important thing around here. If you can't get the farm to work, nothing works in this county. Let it go aside and try to get the other things fixed. It's not being sold.
I think you guys may have wasted your time because we got 25 or 30 other counties presently selling.
We're going to speak twice?
We've got a lot of public body comment already. We need to keep moving. Public body comment.
Mr. Chairman, did he use all of his 5 minutes?
No, he's up.
It's okay.
He's at 4:30 remaining, but I hadn't recognized him. And we got to keep this orderly. Public body comment. I have somebody's hand up over here in the corner. Sharon.
Sharon Onman. I just want to say at the last meeting, we had a big crowd, and that's great that people are interested. But please have respect for everybody speaking, because I had to turn around and keep telling people to shut up while they were talking when everybody else was. And, you know, let everybody talk. Let this meeting flow so we can hear everything going on. We don't want to hear all the snide comments coming back. And I want to thank everybody on the board for all the work they're doing. I know how hard it is. and especially for those of you that vote yes and no. It seems like there's been a lot of abstains the last 2 months, and I know abstain means there's, no decision. And if you don't know enough to make a decision, then you need to ask more questions or do more research, because that shouldn't be the norm of saying abstain. I want a rep that will either vote yes or no for everything, for my district, and that's all, I guess, that I need to say. And as far as the new attorney, he has been voted in, whether you like the decision or not. He has been voted in. And I say that, what did you say? And he has been voted in, and I say we need to give him a chance. Let him prove he can or cannot do the job. We don't know, and I think we need to give him a chance to see that he can do the job we need him to do. Thank you.
Public body comment? I have a hand up right there.
I just want to address Mr. McKittrick. I didn't appreciate being called crybaby. I don't know about everybody else in the crowd, but then I've not seen anybody else in the crowd here bellying up to a dinner table with a watchdog like I have him personally. So take that for what it's worth. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Tricia Muller. What concerns me, what I see going, is the hostility. I mean, you can't be in this room and not see it. And that spills out. Eventually, you haven't gotten any phone calls, but it's spilling out over everywhere. And maybe your phone will start ringing. The hatred is scary, because hatred drives people to do things they should not do. And I am concerned for people's safety, because you get some people drinking at 2 or 3 in the morning that are really ticked off. You worry. You worry for people. So I'm hoping that you disengage from what's causing this hostility. Pull back from what the people are so upset about and govern without outside influence. Govern. If you do the job you were elected to do, people will be quiet, and we will be appreciative, and we will be thankful. But don't pour gasoline on the fire when you know what's causing the issue. Thank you.
Amen.
Public body comment?
Well, I have something. You knew I'd have something to say. I want to kind of follow up to what Chris said. I was born and raised in this community, and it is heartbreaking to see what's going on. It's heartbreaking to see what happened in the hallway. And these are people, I look out in this crowd, and I have friends, I have people I care about in this crowd, and not one person, well, I take that back, one person, has come to me and asked me why I vote the way I do. I don't mean in a political nature, I just mean in general. And I can tell you, believe me, I hold nothing back. I have no secrets, and I kind of feel bad for the new board members who are kind of thrown into all of this. First of all, I respect you all for getting involved in this mess, because you have a target on your head that you don't need. We did not vote blindly on the state's attorney. Jake, I'm sorry, but it's true. I've never voted blindly on anything. And anybody who knows me in this room knows I don't do what everybody else is doing just because it's the thing to do.
We really knew a lot about it.
I mean, it's fine, but it takes some guts to stand up here and do this job, knowing that we look out here with all the angry people, all the upset people, all the disappointed people. It does take some guts to get up here and do it. And I appreciate anybody that ran. I appreciate anybody that has an opinion. Chris Boehm and I disagree on practically everything from the ground up. But I respect the fact that he will say it. I respect everybody who stands up during public comment and does it. Doesn't mean I agree with you, doesn't mean you're gonna sway my vote. But you have to give some of us a chance up here to do the right thing. Because some of these people are new. And where you come up with, we're all praying to the altar of the Edgar County Watchdogs, I don't know, because I'm in Kurt's rear end as much as probably anybody is, and he can tell you that. So give some of us a chance to do the right thing. And give us more than the 3 months we've been sitting on this board. I know I've disappointed people. I get it, I understand. And all we can do, is try to get that back. And try to make you understand why we do what I do. We do what we do. But I'm so tired of just people coming in here angry and not solving anything. You know, you have to give us a chance to solve something. So if you want to come to me, if you want to text me, if you want to show up at my door at 710 West North Main Street with the inflatables in the front yard, you're more than welcome to. I will sit down and have a conversation with you. But when you show up here, it is not a Q&A. This is not a Q&A. I can't respond to you in any way. And neither can anybody else. So I hope that we can tone down the anger, and you can be angry. You can be angry at our choices. But we can tone down the anger to move this county forward, because I believe everybody in this room wants that to happen. So maybe instead of constant criticism, we get some support. Maybe not for our choices, but hey, this is what I'd like to see happen. I don't know if it'll change anything, but the constant divide of us against them is not getting us anywhere. So, sorry, my 5 minutes is probably up.
You had a minute to,
Well, don't tell me I have a minute, because I'll probably use it.
any other public body comment? Sir in the back.
Yeah, Tim Paulson, and I just want to address the state's attorney thing. I won't take much time. I have to go along, Mr. McKittrick is right. It was a Republican that left. It's the committee chairman to appoint a nominee. And I think if people, all I know is what I hear, and I don't hear a lot, I tell you, because people don't talk to each other anymore. But what I hear is what I know. And I think the guy you chose, I don't know that you had that many other people interested in doing the job. And we can't have Moultrie County fill in forever. So we got to give him a chance. And if things that we are afraid that's going to happen comes true, then we'll know what the true lie is. But I think the biggest problem with a lot of the county people is the transparency or the information that we're getting out from the board. Yes, we can come to the meetings, but as you see, we're not very many here and we're packed in here. I'm hoping that getting your own streaming thing will be a lot better, that we can all pull up and watch it if we can't make the meeting. And I know that Watchdogs stream it, and I'm not against them streaming, but then they write their articles, and like the one headline that stung out of their article to me was, and pardon me if I may have the word wrong, but county, something like county politics for dummies, like the little cheat books you get. And that made us look like the lowest county in the state. So I think we got a lot of rebuilding to do. And I wish in county-wide, I wish there wouldn't be I'm a lifelong Republican, and I wish in county-wise politics there wasn't Republican Democrat, that if you wanted to run, you run. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
To your point, Mr. Culberson, I also greatly dislike politics, and this last few 3-4 weeks of this filling a vacancy, unfortunately, just reinstills the reason we have politics is so we have a designated group of political figures, and there is a designated group to replace. And so that realization came to me in the last month or so, the importance of why we have it. I don't like it myself either. But, so. Any other public body comment? Tad.
Mazel tov. Hi, Tad Mayhall. So first and foremost, again, I want to recognize our students that have come here for their civics class. So that started the last couple of weeks by my invitation from my daughter. What I will tell you is the first night that I went home, she sat me down and she asked me what we accomplished that night. I frankly stated nothing. And she says, good, because that's what I wrote down, was nothing. Now, part of this is a process, as stated, we are new, right? I am learning a lot of this as I go. I don't know all the rules. But what I do know is if you can't read the temperature and the climate of this room, you're missing a little bit. Now, some people are going to go back to their corners. They're going to leave here. They're going to peck away at social media, and the civil discourse will continue, right? It's not going to do any good, right? I do not know of any battles, conflicts, or wars won on the keyboard. I don't. I don't. So we have to stop the rhetoric, whether it's here or whether it's at home, hiding behind the keyboard. We're not going to win. Now, you want to get involved, you want to call me, by all means. I'm not a politician. Come speak to me anytime, or anybody that knows me, you'll know that through and through. I can't stand it and disdain politics. I've been here for 17 years, 16 years. I've stayed in the shadows on a lot of things. Now, I was involved, but when it comes to this, I might have been the most ignorant person in the county. I chose to. I don't want to be a part of it. However, I was asked, urged, and encouraged to be a part of it. Now, I left 29 years of military service in October to step into this fight. I got to be honest with you, the last 3 months, I'm not sure who's had been stressed. It's been absolutely glorious to spend the last 3 months in this role. I've got a lot of people that I've had a chance to meet and talk to that I may not have otherwise known. Now, I can't speak for everybody on this board, but I will tell you that I have been called. Now, where they live in the county, I don't know. Frankly, I don't care. I might have been elected in my district, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm here to represent everybody and the decisions for everybody in this county. I have 20,000 people that I feel that I'm responsible for, and a part of that is you're responsible to me and to this board. You need to provide us the feedback, but I'm asking it to be in a much more kind-hearted manner. Provide us the feedback, hold us accountable. If you think I misstepped, come and tell me how I misstepped, but be nice, right? That's all I'm asking is just be nice about it. Turn your left and right. You don't have to like the person, and that's fine. I could probably look left and right in here, and I'm going to have a lot of people that don't like me, and that's fine. But it doesn't mean we can't get along a little bit better, and it doesn't mean we shouldn't be setting a better example for our students and these people that are going to be taking care of us when we're sitting out there 20 years from now. Thank you.
Public body comment. Sir.
Jerry Gannis. I'm going to read you a poem that I have pinned to my board at home for the last 4 years. I think it seems kind of fitting. It's If by Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster, and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings, and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe the word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son.
Public body comment. State your name, please. Yeah, 2.5 minutes.
Okay, I'll only take like 15 seconds. So, to you, Tad, I hope it does get better with the anger and stuff, but I think people feel like there's no other place to do it because there's no newspaper and so it's just a good way to communicate, even though I do agree it gets out of control, and I hardly ever do it because I just don't like to. But again, to my point of everyone paying attention to them, they're not from Shelby County. You're not allowed to speak at a meeting if you're not from Shelby County. So he was telling you to tell my dad to sit down, and I don't want him to get up either. So I wish everybody would say sit down because I don't want him getting worked up. But he should not be allowed to tell you that that was his second time up, and that's my only thing. Like, can we just? Why are they here? And that's all I want to know. So that's it.
Yes.
I didn't hear him. I heard it was just getting unrest. Yeah. So, sorry if that's that's not what it was.
That's fine.
I'm trying to keep it calm.
Public body comment. Any other public body comment? Third time, public body comment. Hearing none, we'll move on in the agenda. Thank you for all the public body comment. So we'll move on to item 6 on the agenda, which is the Deputy Director, Don Jones, of the Illinois Courts Pretrial Program, requests the Shelby County Board to lease office space in the courthouse to the Office of the Statewide Pretrial Services, OSPS.
That's me. Where you want? Right here, okay, or you want me to?
Please kind of come up here to the front to address everybody. I'll hear you just fine.
Good evening, everybody. It's been very interesting. I first walked in here and I said, boy, I hope all these people aren't here to see me. My name's Don Jones, and right off the bat, I'm not anti-gun. I work for the state, but I'm a retired sheriff from Franklin County. I've had this job for a year. Does anybody ever even know what the Office of Pretrial Services is? We're a new state agency. We're not part of the Safety Act, so don't confuse us with the Safety Act. In 1987, the state legislature passed a law that all counties were supposed to provide pretrial services. And pretrial services amounts to if someone is arrested and out on bond, we're supposed to do a social history of an inmate before they get out of jail, to advise the court what kind of conditions should be placed on this individual to make their pretrial experience a success story. And by success story, I mean they don't get rearrested and they show up in court. That means will they benefit from some type of social services like drug counseling, substance abuse counseling, mental health services, all sorts of things. And I know a lot of, there's not a lot of services available, but we do try to facilitate that if we can. We do an interview, like a social history, with an inmate. Do you have a job? If you have a job, do you have dependents that depend on you for support? And we advise the court, the state's attorneys, and the defense counsel of all that information. Run criminal history, do a risk assessment, and to advise the court if that Safety Act does go into effect, which is on hold right now. If it does go into effect, Illinois will have an in or out system where people will be held in jail or released, one or the other. And if they are released, a lot of them will be, what conditions, if any, should be placed on them to ensure community safety and also to ensure that they show back up at court. And that's the brief overview of what we do. And in every county, we're going to have at least one pretrial officer. And the reason I'm here tonight is that our pretrial officer that we're going to have working here in Shelby County needs an office space in the courthouse if possible. We are willing to pay, not much, $13 a square foot. We don't need much space. We need enough for a desk and maybe a file cabinet. It's not going to cost the county any money, the services we provide. We're here to provide services. And I'll answer any questions you have, if I can.
Over here, Lori.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have requirements regarding privacy or
We do.
non-disclosure? So if this office space is located within another department, is there anything to safeguard against the sharing of information that might be sensitive to the cases versus the other departments?
That's a good question. We do, it is
Kind of
confidential.
like doctor's office with HIPAA to
Yes.
protect both
Yes,
parties.
because we ask questions about the social history, about substance abuse, mental health history, medical histories, things like that, and it is confidential information. Also, the criminal history information is not, public right away. I mean, it may be eventually, but it's going to be shared with the court, the judge, the state's attorney, and defense counsel. But generally speaking, that is not immediately available to the public. And when we file that with the circuit clerk's office, it is, what's the word I'm looking for, right? It's, you can't see it. It's confidential. It's client privilege. Yeah.
I guess more specifically, I'm asking if this person is renting space in another office with, say, this other person in different departments, is there a concern for the confidentiality among the department and then this individual?
There is, and there also could be a safety concern because we're going to have people coming in. We're going to be providing drug testing capabilities. So, these are people that's out on bond. Keep in mind, people that are out on bond haven't been convicted of anything. If you believe in the Constitution, you're proven guilty.
So you need a room by yourself, is what you're asking.
That's what we like.
I'll introduce myself. I'm an outreach consultant with pretrial services, retired from the state police. So Donnie and I both have law enforcement backgrounds. I will be the one that would be coming to the county. The county board would elect to approve the lease and help to identify a lease space. We're looking for the squatter's office. It doesn't have to be very big, but it does need to have some privacy. We have shared offices. That's not ideal. But it's a lot better to have a shared office in the courthouse where the pretrial service officer is going to be a resource for you to enhance safety for Shelby County and to work with you actually become part of the team here, even though the state will be paying for that team play and providing resources and services for your judges and your states. My name is Dave Miner. Yeah, and I'm an outreach consultant for the statewide office of pretrial services. So,
Yes, if I could make a comment. To the best of my knowledge, the sheriff, judge, have you been working on this, and the treasurer, because the prospective spot is the room right next to the treasurer's office. These officials have all been more or less brought into conversations and understanding, and so what they're presenting is no surprise to anybody in the courthouse themselves. So
okay. I didn't know who else here. Yes, sir.
Do you have a person ready to come to facilitate this for Shelby County? You're just waiting on space, or?
We're waiting on space. We don't have a person hired yet for Shelby County. We've been covering it with other officers, but we will have. That's our intent. But we have to have a spot for them. Yes.
is this function something you're doing already?
Yes. In
You're
70 counties. We're in 70 counties.
Are you here?
Yes, we're coming here now.
So
We're
you're not
covering
doing.
it. I'm sorry.
Please let me finish my
I'm
question.
sorry.
Are you doing this function currently in Shelby County? That's my question.
Yes.
Where?
Here at the courthouse. We go to the jail, and then we come to the courthouse. If they do it on Zoom, I'm not familiar with how you do it here. If they do it on Zoom, it could be over Zoom.
Okay, thank you. So you're operating here already, you're just not in an established spot.
Yes.
And what you're saying is you're willing to rent a spot to have an established desk and filing cabinet in an area for the officer to work?
Yes.
Yep.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Deputy Director, but right now, I think a Marion County officer is coming up and covering for them now, right now. So, because we haven't got an officer in place here, but there definitely will be an officer hired and put in place in your.
And I still, what exactly are you doing?
That's a great question. I'll let Sheriff Jones answer that. He doesn't.
Okay. Somebody gets arrested, they're in jail. Our pretrial service officer goes to the jail, interviews the defendant, does a social history, and by that I mean asking questions about are you addicted to some type of substance? Do you have a family? Do you have a job? And we try to verify that so we can advise the court of that. We run a criminal history on them. We do a risk assessment, and we provide that information to the court, the judge, the state's attorney, and the defense attorney. And then if they get out of jail, we attempt to monitor them while they're out, before their case is resolved, to ensure that they show up in court and they don't reoffend. That's basically what we do.
Well, public safety is, because not reoffending would also mean if there's no contact orders, anything that the judge puts in place that this person has to do, that's what the pretrial service officer will be watching. Okay, so if there's no contact orders in place, no drug use in place, any of those type of orders that are put in place that you can't do, that's what the officer will be doing. He or she.
No. Is there a direct relationship between this service and probation?
Probation is after conviction. This is before the case is resolved, while they're out on pretrial. That's the difference.
This is totally funded.
Totally funded. Doesn't cost the county any money.
Shelby County.
No. Won't cost the county any money.
I've got Mark here in the front, right down here.
This office space that you would need, would this be in the courthouse or at the sheriff's department?
We'd like it one or the other.
Have you been able to look to see if we have a suspicious,
That's why I'm here.
specific spot already?
No, I haven't. We've talked to sheriff.
If you guys choose to provide, are kind enough to provide a space, I will be back to look at the space and to make arrangements for the lease group.
We don't need a big space. We just need a small space.
I mean,
Big enough for one person.
10 by 12 office with a desk and a file cabinet.
Brian, would you rather have him here or over there with you, or is it not?
There's been a spot already identified here in the courthouse.
Any other questions for the gentleman? I'd entertain a motion to start action. Lori makes the motion to request Shelby County Board to lease office space to the courthouse, in the courthouse, to the Office of Statewide Pretrial Services, commonly known as OSPS. Do I have a second? Mark, second. Hearing discussion prior to the motion. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
The money that they pay rent for this office, what fund does that go into then?
Go into the general fund.
The general fund, there's not
That's what-
anything to,
Is that right? No. It goes in the general fund.
okay,
Yeah, there's no statutory requirement that says it can't go in the general fund.
okay.
And we would be asking for a 5-year lease that would be paid annually.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you. I'm sorry. Yeah, we would ask for a 5-year lease and be paid on an annual basis.
Generally, the way it works is I'll come and meet with your treasurer, get the county board chairman, everybody get their EIN number, forward that up to our administrative office of the courts. They will prepare the lease, send it down to your state's attorney, and then your board review. Once they review it and execute the lease, then it would go in place then. Okay?
One more question.
Yes, sir.
You said it's paid annually.
Yes, sir.
I've seen 12, you mentioned $13 a square foot. Is that a an accumulation monthly and then it's paid annually, or is that the square footage times the fee and that's paid once a year? So
It's calculated if you have a 200 square foot room, 200 square foot times $13 a square foot for the year.
okay, for the year.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not talking about a great deal of money. I mean, anywhere from 2,500 to 4,000, depending on what you provide.
Who supplies the, county have to supply the desk, file cabinet, and that sort of stuff, or you supplying that?
We would ask for you to do it, but if you don't, we will.
A lot of the counties have surplus stuff that really all the officer needs is just, he brings his own computer, his own phone, Wi-Fi is wonderful, you guys have that for them. What you guys will find is he or she will be a resource for you and work as a team player for you guys.
Yeah, we're want to provide service to the county.
Any other questions for the gentleman while they're here? You got something burning on you? I didn't write that one down. No? All right.
And it is $13 a square foot. So originally it was going to be 12, but they have it is 13. So make that clear.
We aren't spending money, but we are agreeing to a financial contract, so I will call for a roll call vote.
Mark Bennett,
Yes.
Teresa Bain,
Yes.
Cody Brands,
Yes.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Carol Cole,
Yes.
Julie Edwards,
Yes.
Robert Bernhaber,
Yes.
Clay Hardy,
Yes.
Matt Kessler,
Yes.
Annette Martin,
Yes.
Tad Mayhall,
Yes.
Keith McCormick,
Yes.
Tim Morse,
Yes.
Lori Nelson,
Yes.
David Ogden,
Yes.
Bobby Orman,
Yes.
Sonny Ross,
Yes.
Don Tate,
Yes.
Brett Wallace,
Yes.
Jeremy Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Motion carries to approve the lease. Item 7.
Thank the board.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for your services. I actually thank the crowd too. I serve on the county board in Franklin County, and so I appreciate your comments, but I also appreciate all your service, all of you folks. And I want to shake this gentleman's hand. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 7 is discussion and vote to approve leasing office space in the courthouse to the Office of Statewide Pretrial Services.
Again?
That's what we just did.
Maybe we're voting.
What we just did.
Oh, sorry, it's on here twice, isn't it? One had Don Jones. Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
was the first one not to do it, and the 6 was to do it, 7 is to discuss the space?
To approve leasing, it
The
says
specific
leasing
space.
office space.
Okay.
And
6 was for him to present, leasing it. 7 was for the board to vote to agree to lease.
okay, we covered 7. Number 8 is discussion and vote to accept grant in the amount of $41,206.59 from AOIC, for technology modernization and to amend the circuit clerk budget line item 001-003-7050, technology grant expenses by $41,206.59 to be used for courthouse technology improvements. Entertain a motion to accept the grant. Julie makes the motion, Mark seconds. Discussion, any presentation? Is there any presentation on this? Discussion? We got Tad.
Sure, just a question. So looking at the sheet, and maybe Judge or somebody else can answer, is we asked for 60,000 plus, got 41. So what was the difference in what we asked for versus we got?
The $20,000 difference. Because it was a grant dealing with technology for the courthouse, courtrooms, and to handle courts, I inquired with this grant to see whether or not the X-ray security machine at the front door could be included. I included that. It was struck. It was struck.
Okay.
That's the difference, the only piece of equipment.
Thank you, ma'am.
I had another question. Mark.
In our future, we're talking about trying to live stream our committee meetings and board meeting. Does this interact with that in any way, or is this just strictly yours?
No,
Issues?
cannot be used for that. It's court only.
Any other questions from the floor? Hearing none, this is accepting the grant in the amount of $41,206.59. Again, I'll call roll call vote.
Mark Bennett,
Yes.
Teresa Banks,
Yes.
Cody Brands,
Yes.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Carol Cole,
Yes.
Julie Edwards,
Yes.
Martha Fernaber,
Yes.
Clay Hardy, Matt Kessler,
Yes.
Annette Martin,
Yes.
Tad Mayhoff,
Yes.
Keith McCormick,
Yes.
Tim Morse,
Yes.
Lori Nelson,
Yes.
David Ogden,
Yes.
Bobby Warman,
Yes.
Sonny Ross,
Yes.
Don Tate,
Yes.
Brent Wallace,
Yes.
Jeremy Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. So at this point in time, I'm going to bring up items 12, 13, and 14, and we'll start on this discussion. So, before we get started on these three agenda items, it is set up and established in a fashion that if we make one decision, the next subsequent decisions have to be made tonight because of our zoning ordinance. So, if we revisit, whatever decision we make, it has to be finalized tonight. So, I would entertain a motion. So number 12 is discussion and vote to rescind action taken on January 12, 2023, county board meeting rejecting the preliminary plat for Lithia Estates subdivision.
I'll make a motion to rescind.
Dave makes the motion, can I get a second? Jeremy seconds.
You said we would have an opportunity to address that, and I didn't speak during public comment on
Right.
reliance of that.
And this is the discussion part.
Okay.
Yeah, yes.
You're discussing it before
Absolutely.
you rescind it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So the motion's on the floor. We have the topic to discuss.
Okay.
And now we're going to discuss it. Tad.
I don't even know where to start. Apart from, so here's what I don't want to do, is I don't want to sit here through another litigation of this process that I can tell you right now that, the only way for me to receive new information on this topic is to litigate this topic in this room. And I don't feel prepared to sit through an hour's worth of litigation in this topic. And I don't see how we get other information. I've read through everything presented to us, and ad nauseum everything. And I could go through 100 questions. I'm not sure I'm going to get answers on half of those as to if we take this step, what leads to next step, etc. Right? There's still pending litigation, and maybe somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. We are still listed as defendants as one of those. And so, from my perspective, until we have legal counsel available to us, I would be prepared to make a second motion to table this until we have counsel.
I second that.
So I have a motion to table and a second by Martha. It's non-debatable. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Dave votes no. And myself votes no. So we've tabled item 12, which means 13.
Can I ask a question?
Bill.
Okay. All right. The zoning ordinance states, you guys tabled this, so the zoning ordinance states, I'm assuming there's a lawyer in here, there's somebody wrong.
I'm a lawyer, and I read the same ordinance you did.
After the preliminary plat has been approved by the commission, which was done December 13th, the county board shall accept or reject the plat within 30 days after its next stated regular meeting following the action of the commission. So the next stated meeting I presented it to you. Hang on, let me know. So from that point, you have 30 days to make a decision. It says accept or reject. It doesn't say table or anything, accept or reject. 30 days. The 30 days is up 2 days from today.
We rejected the last meeting, sir.
Correct. So that's what
We met our
we're
standing
standing.
requirement, right?
So there ain't no table or nothing, it's reject.
What he tabled was the rescission of last month's action, but I still want to have this discussion so the board is aware of what happened, what has happened for the last 18 years, and what has happened in the last meeting. And we need to, the reason why this is on here is because we heard one side of things. I think it's appropriate for the board to hear the other side of things. As painfully as it might be at 8:30 in the evening already, and we're not even a third of the way through the agenda. Martha?
Well, I mean, if our concern is that we don't have our own legal counsel, I understand we have these two attorneys, but the board does not have legal counsel for the board, and we sit here and listen to them litigate, or we hear the other side tonight, but our legal counsel isn't here to hear that, then when we do have our legal counsel, we have to sit and listen to it all over again. I think the request has been to table it, wait until we have legal counsel so that person can be here to listen to it all, and then we have some guidance on what direction the board should go before we vote to go any direction. So listening to it now and listening to it again a month from now or 2 months from now, in my personal opinion, seems like a big waste of time when we're already an hour and a half into this meeting.
Can I say one thing too? I will make myself available when you guys are ready to talk about these issues with council, if I'm aware of meeting or whatever venue that is. I think you're right, not to litigate it tonight when you made a decision at the last meeting and tabled it already. I think you should wait for an attorney to give you competent legal advice without taking any further action when you took a final action at the last meeting.
Okay. So I'm going to give Mr. Barger the floor, and I'm going to give you about 10 minutes. You want to speak to anything?
State my position with regard to the
Yeah, you sent an email this week, early this week or late last week. And, yeah, I mean,
I can't speak to it because he didn't share it with me.
well, I know, this is where the irritation comes into play. We had a process of government that was working through. And then I feel that by the last month's meeting that we got brought into a courtroom situation instead of a boardroom situation. So how is it fair to hear one side of anything and not hear the other?
You held a public meeting, and it was noticed up. I showed up to the meeting and we presented our side. They had the same opportunity that we did, and a final vote was taken. You want to have another vote because they didn't even bother to show up to the meeting where you made the decision.
No. Point of order. He's already spoken and taken.
So I'd still like to give Mr. Barger the floor for 10 minutes.
Sure, sir. Well, before we start that, can I ask where this fits in on the agenda? That's table 12, 13, 14, just so I can understand.
So, well, it's discussion at this point in time.
But it's been tabled and voted on.
You voted
We tabled and voted. We moved to move past this first time.
Okay. So we tabled 12, which means we need to move to, we'll just move back to 9 and continue on. We will ignore 13. And we will come back to, well, let's go to 14. So 14, no, sorry. We will go straight to 14, which is discussion and vote to approve the resolution to deny the preliminary plat for Lithia subdivision due to storm issues with water runoff. And there was pending vote item 13. So, since we've tabled the action to rescind, that means it's off the board. Okay, so here's the thing. Tabling the motion to rescind takes it off basically takes it off the table, or takes it off the floor for decision. We have to make a decision on a resolution by Saturday, 2 days from now.
Yeah, you got to decide why the plat fails to conform with the zoning ordinance, and that has to be put in the resolution that is filed with the county. So you guys have to decide why you're denying this plat to be forward on, to be approved. There has to be a reason for disapproval, and it has to be put in, it states order or resolution that's going to be filed with the county. So your reasoning for denying this plat needs to be placed in a resolution and filed with the county, according to the zoning ordinance that at some point was approved by this county board in 2006 or so.
Sam. Tad, sorry.
So I guess I'm very confused. When we went through the laborious process of this last month, we did reject the plat. At no time were we told to give a reason. We were just told to make a decision. So if we had to give reason then we should have been presented then, because I don't recall it being stated.
No, we had to give a reason.
So we did give reason. So we walked away incomplete?
We gave a reason.
We gave a reason.
Okay, then I guess I'm just trying to figure out why it's being said now that we need to give a reason if we gave a reason. Last time, we voted this in January, right?
Yeah.
And we gave reason.
Yes.
But I'm hearing we didn't give reason.
No, we gave reason. It has to be included in the resolution. So going to the resolution of denial, we have to have something on file, basically denying, to keep up with our ordinances.
Sure.
To keep up with our own ordinances.
But I guess, point of clarity, just because I really don't understand. If we voted, if we gave reason, was that not a resolution?
That's not a resolution.
But I don't see a written resolution in front of me.
Do you have a copy of the resolution?
I do not. Can I say one more thing? If this stays, and I don't have a dog in the fight, for a better phrase. If this stays denied, which is fine, the only course that I see is a new plat has to be submitted back to the county, whether it's the same plat all over again or a different plat, has to be, we have to start at ground zero. The Galvin will have to submit it back to the county, be filed with the county, planning commission will have to be reconvened, and we'll start all over again and bring it right back here to where we're at today. So tomorrow they could go file the same plat, and we're going to go through the same thing, and it's going to be right back here a couple months from now.
Sure, fully respect 180 days of legal documents, but we were making it really tough for me to make a decision without a lawyer.
So the resolution is roughly page 13 of the board packet. If you were able to print it off in the order it was sent.
I typed up a resolution based on your guys' denial of it last month. The reasoning that I found within the zoning ordinance that could be used for denial. Listening to the conversation, I actually put it in per article, section, line, however you want to state it in the resolution.
I've got it.
I thought last month that we denied it because we didn't have information on the storm runoff, and we asked for that exact thing. And I do not remember ever seeing that.
I agree with that. And this resolution that I'm looking at says that the same is hereby approved, not rejected.
I actually created two resolutions, one in case you approved it and then another one in case you denied it. Or not necessarily denied it, but kept your original denial from last month.
Did they send it for the storm runoff? Was it sent in?
What do you mean?
Last month, we asked for guidance on where the storm runoff is going to go. We asked the defendants, right? Yeah. You guys, plaintiff. We asked somebody.
The applicants.
We asked somebody to give us the guidance or whatever that shows that the storm runoff is going to be taken care of. Did that get turned in?
No, I don't think they changed anything. They
So
basically.
they ignored us.
That's why I asked them to be here, is because if they're going to take a position, they should at least be able to explain themselves. So,
Thank you. To Representative Mayhall's position, now therefore be it hereby resolved, it is hereby denied for the following reasons, in bold print. And we're discussing that we gave no reason. And it is in bold print.
Those are the reasons I found based on the discussion that was had at the last meeting.
16 of 34 on the re-edited material.
They want us to vote on that, this resolution, correct? The denial resolution that specifically calls out. That's the agenda item that we're trying to address.
right.
If you're not going to rescind the last month's vote, you need to read that and vote to deny based on that resolution, what I wrote in there. Because that basically states what you guys decided last month.
Jeremy.
The board was required to take final action within a certain time period. Final action was taken last month. It was rejected. Reason was given. We had the opportunity to pick that back up and take action. We chose to table. I think it's probably time to move on.
Sure. But everybody's got to understand the implications, the steps of the process of if this, then that. And that's what we have just pretty well resolved, Martha.
So if we untable 12, stick with our rejection of it, then we skip 13, we go to 14, and we're just confirming our rejection, but the resolution has additional language as to why we're rejecting it. And he goes back, he says if they have to resubmit, if they have the choice to resubmit the exact same plat, at that point, we're buying ourselves time to get our state's attorney in place, and we have legal counsel. Is that a correct assessment of what I'm hearing?
That would be correct in my eyes.
Well, you would like for them to resubmit a plat that at least details why, changes or details why, and doesn't necessarily have to be a new plat, but details in the plat why or how they're going to alleviate the reasons why you denied it.
That's what we would like, but you just made the comment a few minutes ago that they could resubmit the exact same plat.
Yeah, how could I stop
Yeah,
them?
they could do this, they could do that, they could do this.
Well, I can't stop them if
But
they
if
did.
we stick with our rejection, the ball's back in their court, we have time to get our state's attorney in place, so this board has some legal representation in this matter.
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking. Is that a correct statement?
I'm not a lawyer, so I would say, with my interpretation of it, yeah, that's my interpretation of it, not a legal interpretation.
Mark.
Can't we just say the reason is because we didn't have legal representation?
Well, we've already put a reason in resolution.
Yeah, but I mean...
Are you wanting to amend the resolution to include lack of legal representation of the board?
Yes.
Well, you can't do that because we still have a table.
No, the resolution's not tabled.
Where's it at?
The resolution's in 14. We tabled 12.
So page 15 begins the resolution for denial, right?
page 17, you said?
Page 15.
Page 15 of the 34-page packet.
Yeah, so on page 15, it says, now therefore be it hereby resolved by the County Board of Shelby County assembled on the 9th day of February that the preliminary plat of said real estate is hereby denied for the following reasons. And it states the ordinance, the article, title, article, and section.
Basically, you guys denied it for water runoff from the two existing plots. So what I did is I took part of the ordinance that would reference that and used it in the resolution as a denial. And you guys can change that, read however you want, or add your own stuff in there, but there's nothing in the zoning ordinance that says you can deny, it says it has to be denied based on violation of the ordinance, and there's nothing in the ordinance that says you can be denied because you don't have legal representation. I mean, I'm just following the zoning ordinance that is on record with the county as of today.
Steve, I'm going to let you.
My understanding last time, you guys denied it for the fact they did not have a written drainage plan on how to address all the drainage, and that's what you denied it on. And I believe the ordinance says, which I haven't looked at, says they're supposed to include a written drainage ordinance. I believe that's what their attorney said, to address all the drainage issues, and they didn't provide that in the plat, so it was incomplete. And that's why we talked about sending it back to the planning commission so that they would develop, so that the other defendants or other people would have the engineer write a written drainage plan, and then you could resubmit it back at that point.
Well, I don't know if they can go back to the planning commission. They've already approved this plat.
But it says in your ordinance, though, that it's supposed to be a written plan included with it. And that's what the attorney said for them last time.
It says they can take into consideration drainage.
Well, there wasn't anything addressing it apparently then.
What? Yeah, they did address it.
Bill. I got you over here.
I move to approve the resolution to deny the preliminary plat.
Second by Jeremy. Motion on the floor to approve the resolution for the denial of the plat, made by Dee, seconded by Jeremy. Any other discussion?
Can we do that? Is that on the agenda?
Yeah, it's number 14.
Oh, that's 14.
So that's why when I said if we're going to table 12, that means that number 13 is off the books. Unless Tad would choose to, take it off the table tonight. And then we could go to 13, but we can't go to 13 because 12 is.
Have any committees met about this?
Yeah, so
So what's the committee recommendation? Because I don't know, I am so in over my head with this.
Mark, you want to go for it? Or you make it? Okay. So in early January, mid-January, the Planning Commission met downstairs Courtroom B. They approved the plats as presented. It was stated then that everybody was in accordance with it. The plat, the Planning Commission approved it to send to the board. What happened then was we had a budget meeting, which includes zoning. So we brought it up in discussion, just so the board members of that committee would be aware of what we were going to be voting on, because of the Planning Commission has no bearing on the board. Like, no members of the Planning Commission is the same. There's no similarity. The Planning Commission is completely separate people of the board. So, being that happened, and I was there for that meeting, I felt it was important that I threw it on the agenda for the budget committee meeting that we had January 29th, I believe. December 29th. We discussed it, educated ourselves, went through the plat, there was really a moot point as far as any sort of approval. However, it was education for myself, Mark, Tim, Dave, Jeremy, that sit on that committee as far as where we're in the process. So, yes, there was a committee that met. Basically, everything that was in the planning commission was presented to the zoning as well, the budget committee, and up until that point in time, I thought we had a pretty good ball rolling to keep proceeding. So,
Bobby,
Jeremy.
we have a motion on the floor that is on the agenda, and it is just to redo again what we did last time?
It's to approve the resolution that we...
To deny.
To deny.
Yeah. Let's do that and move on.
So, I want to clean this up. So I'd like a motion on the table. 12.
Second.
We've got, we'll get too convoluted here.
Well, I'm not sure how we got to 14 with the other items stated.
Because when you table it, it takes it out of the decision-making process. If we would have voted, if we took it to a vote and everybody voted no to rescind,
Okay.
and then it's less confusing.
Yeah, nope, as I stated clearly earlier, we're learning, so, patience, thank you.
Cody.
What?
Clay.
Yeah, hey, this ain't gonna resolve anything, but if it's possible, I'd like to talk to you two gentlemen sometime. I can give you my phone number if you want, and I'd like to talk to both of you.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe an hour later.
Yeah.
217-343-3711.
Oh, me too?
There's,
This is the board attorney over there. Oh,
So
that's fine.
all I do is facilitate the meeting.
Yeah.
And it's given to me, to the planning commission, and then to the board. I have no decision-making on this whatsoever.
That's fine. I just want to talk to someone.
Mr. Chairman, call the question.
I've been asked to call it.
Call vote.
Clay, you call the zoning office on Tuesday, I'll give you everybody's number.
Okay. That might be easy. I don't remember your name, but
I have a request on the floor to call the vote. All in favor of the resolution to deny the plat, preliminary plat, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Aye.
Could I get a hand raised?
Myself, Mark, Clay, Dave, Julie? Question mark?
No, I'm not with you guys.
Okay.
So I'm showing four against.
4 nay votes. Dave, Mark, Clay, myself.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move back up to item 9, which is discussion and vote to approve resolution to increase animal control fees, registration claim fees, quarantine, boarding, after-hour fees, and owner relinquish. I do believe, Don, you've been on this, so I'll let you.
I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution that I think everybody received in their board packet.
Second.
So the resolution that we're voting on it's labeled AC fee resolution. It's establishing new rates for animal registration and other animal control fees, whereas 510 ILCS 53 was amended effective January 6, 2006, requiring counties to have a minimum of $10 differential for registration of intact animals versus sterilized animals, and whereas Shelby County currently charges $15 for intact animals and $5 for sterilized animals per resolution 2005-67, which originally amended the registration fee to include the $10 fee for differential, and whereas this $10 fee collected is deposited in the county animal population control fund, be it resolved that the Shelby County animal fees be as follows. Registration for intact animals shall be $25 per year or $75 for 3 years, and for sterilized animals, $10 per year or $30 for 3 years. $1 in the parentheses receives $1 will be retained by the veterinary issuing the tag. The following collected fees shall be deposited in the animal control fund. Reclaim fees. No cost for first offense, $50 for second offense, $75 for third offense, $100 for the fourth, and $100 for the fifth, plus a citation. Proof of rabies vaccination or prepaid veterinary receipt for rabies vaccination is required to reclaim the animal. After-hours fees of $30 may apply. Quarantine fee of $20 per day. Owner relinquish fee is canines at $30, litter of pups at $40, cats at $15, litter of kittens at $30. And that concludes the resolution to change the fees.
Second.
So I had a motion by Don to approve the resolution, and a second by Sonny. Any discussion on that?
Okay, I wrote this resolution based on information that was given to me by Brad Hudson, who is the animal control person. He said that these fees that I wrote this up from were approved at, I assume, a November meeting of the Animal Control Committee. That's the extent of my knowledge of it, but since Brad said that these fees were already being charged for registration, I felt that we need to get on the ball and get this passed. So that's where it's at. If people don't like it, it won't make me mad if you vote it down. That's where we're at.
So,
It was also my understanding at that meeting that these recommendations and suggestions came from the company that helped write or did write the budget. That when they observed his fees, they felt like they were inadequate.
any other discussion?
Sure, just a question again. So are we setting policy where we set fees versus the state's attorney, as somebody mentioned earlier? Again, I'm not going to say I know all the rules, but I'm asking for anybody that might have a better idea than me to weigh in on that.
I had this reviewed,
Okay,
and they said it looked great.
okay.
The state's attorney doesn't have to set this. They just have to agree that it's legal.
Okay, yeah, that was just
We're
my
legally
point.
doing it.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? With the exchange of setting a dollar amount and affecting the budget, I will call for a roll call vote, please.
Mark Bennett,
Yes.
Teresa Bain,
Yes.
Cody Brands,
Sorry, I had to go to the bathroom.
Yes, we are.
Are we on the animal control
Yeah.
thing still?
Yes.
Yes.
Or no?
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Carol Cole,
Yes.
Julie Edwards,
Yes.
Martha Verhaver,
Yes.
Clay Hardy,
Yes.
Matt Kessler, Nat Martin,
Yes.
Patty Mayhall,
Yes.
Keith McCormick,
Yes.
Tim Morse,
Yes.
Lori Nelson,
Yes.
David Ogden,
Yes.
Bobby Warman,
Yes.
Sonny Ross,
Yes.
John Tate,
Yes.
Brett Wallace,
Yes.
Jeremy Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, without further ado, I'm going to jump to item 11. Apologize for the highway presentation, but we do have the MyTech up here on the wall. If I could have Dave, if he's still here.
Yep.
There he is. So item 11 is discussion and vote on approval for MyTech Solutions to activate the Shelby County website to train and communicate with all appropriate personnel.
Probably have to shut the lights off back there so you can see the projector. I apologize for the projector being as poor as it is. The one the county has is about 10 or 11 years old, and it would not talk to my laptop, so I had to rush out and borrow a projector. So it's going to be very hard to see, but this is just a draft right now of what we've started for our website. The county asked me about 10 or 11 years ago to start designing a website, and that's happened 4 or 5 times now in the last 10 years. With the new board that came on, they came to me, I had several members of the board come to me and ask me, we need a website and we want it done so that we can get our information out there. So I talked to several of you. Some of you know me, some of you don't. But this is a mock-up, it's draft, it's not live on the web yet, but we were asked to come up with a design based off of like Effingham County and Christian County and Moultrie County. So we took a combination of those and come up with this template. Every department will have their own page on the site, so it's kind of hard to see, but along the left-hand menu, this is what our county is. So it will pop up, and there's a description of Shelby County. It shows the picture of the courthouse. It will scroll down, shows you where you're at in the state, geography, climate. This is just stuff that we've gathered off of the internet through searches, and working with the legislative committee, they'll be the ones that we'll be working with. So every department head will have input into this too as well. So that's the basic, that's the first part of the page. When you go over to the elected officials, we have county board members. It lists all the county board members, the district that they're in, their address, phone number, their email address. That's all listed there for everybody. It's open to the public to see. When you go down then to your boards and your commissioners, tells you what the board is responsible for doing. This tells you what every committee is and who's on the committee. And then when you go to the other departments like the county clerk, we started basically on that page because we've talked with Jessica probably more than anybody about what the new website would have. But in the upper right-hand corner, it has all of her contact information. Every page will be laid out exactly like this page. So in the upper right-hand corner of every page, it will have how do I contact that office, what's their address, what's their phone number, and then there's a place down there that will fill in different questions. There's elections and functions, vital records. It tells you what each one of those different categories is going to be. What's the function of the county clerk and the recorder? It gives you that. And then at the very bottom here, there's a box, and it's for forms and documents. So you, as somebody in your office, whichever person in your office that you decide is going to do the updates on your page. So every department will have a page that they can edit and put their information in. So for example, like when you draw up the agenda, you'll create a PDF. You have to print that off anyway. At the same time, you will drag that over into a folder on the desktop. And once it's in that folder, so there'll be a folder on your desktop, if I can find my mouse here.
Right beside the screen, right over there. There you go. Let's open up here. Anyway, you'll drag and drop into that folder, and as soon as you drop it in that folder, it will be posted on the web instantly. So in that folder, you can create whatever folders you want to put in there. If you want one in there that says, agenda items, minutes of the meeting, anything that you want in that, you'll be able to create in here a folder, whatever you want. Once you drag that meeting notes in there, it will be on the website instantly, and every department will have that ability to do that. And it will go out on their page at the bottom, where it says forms and documents. So you'd be able to click on that, and then here's the legislative committee, and it will download to your computer, or you can do a right mouse click, open it up in a new tab, and it will show you what that document is. And you'll be able to read it right there. So again, this is just a template to get us started with. There's money in the budget. There was money in the budget last year. Nothing got done last year. I think the budget item is around $5,000 for the development and training all the departments on how to be able to use the website and upload the site themselves. Again, I apologize for not being able to see it very well, but anybody wants to stop by my office, we'll be glad to show it to you. So if you want to flip the lights back on, anybody have any questions?
Yeah, sir. So as we get to the streaming aspect of this,
yes,
is this where this will be hosted as well?
Yeah, there will be on that main page there. We'll put a link on there that says there'll be an announcement there. County board meeting, such a date, such time. Click here to view. And then I think on the budget, you guys are going to talk about buying equipment and stuff. So you'll have a streaming service that you subscribe to. That streaming service, when you click on that link, it'll take them to that streaming service online, and then they'll be able to view.
So then to that second point then, so all the PDFs, whether it be minutes and And agendas, are they archived in there, so will they be year by year, and then month by month?
That will be up to the departments, so get out how they want. For example, we'll have, board meetings from 2023, so when we do next year, 2024, they can, that's their choice if they want to leave them there or not. They'll control what's on the website. So, and I know there's regulations that some stuff has to stay there for so long, but once she gets an order, or the department head gets an order for destruction, then they will be able to destroy them themselves, right from the website.
And then last thing is, can you make Julie's phone number the same for everybody?
Sure.
Yes, I welcome it.
In order for us to do live streaming, are you having to update the speed at which?
I don't believe we're going to have to, no, because we already have 100 meg fiber into the courthouse. The fiber that comes into this courthouse also feeds the sheriff's office. It's 100 meg down, 100 meg up, so we should not have any issues with streaming, because when you guys are having your meetings, there's nothing else going on in the courthouse. The only other traffic that would be on your network at all would be anything that comes to the sheriff's office. Same thing at night, there's very little traffic, so I don't anticipate having any problems. I know people that stream on a 20 by 20, so we have no problems, and we're going to be on 100 by 100, so I don't see any problems with that. The issue that we have not really an issue, but the equipment that we're looking at right now, everything would have to be done in this building currently or somewhere so that they have internet access. The equipment that I believe that they're talking about doing doesn't have, or they have purchased the cellular modems to be able to go outside the building, park, or wherever for other meetings. It's going to have to be someplace where they have a dependable wireless service, or they can plug in direct to the network. Margaret?
You talked about the link to, hey, this meeting's this day, this time, click here, and it takes you to the streaming. What about archived meetings? Are the links going to stay there and it still goes back out to the streaming to watch a replay?
That'll be up to the streaming service to store those for you, but you'll set that up. When we set up the streaming service, basically it works like Facebook Live. So you would be able to go back and it would be a recording that would be stored on their site. And depending on the service that you buy, I think you're looking at Restream, I think is the name of it. I think you can set up timelines there. So I want to keep this video for 30 days, 90 days, 180 days, whatever. You set those parameters in there, and then they charge you, if you're allowed so much storage, and you get to that limit, then it will start either, you have to set it up to either delete that forward or start charging you more.
Okay.
I'm not sure that we're in discussion, so I can wait, but I'm wondering, you mentioned a setup fee, but what is the ongoing?
The ongoing hosting fee is $180 a year for hosting.
Jeremy over here. Motion to approve. So Jeremy's put a motion on the table to approve MyTech Solutions to activate the Shelby County website to train and communicate with all appropriate personnel. Have a second? He seconds. Any other further discussion?
Yes, I just want to say that there is money already approved. 029, I've already confirmed with the treasurer, there's $17,000 in there.
Hey,
So
don't say
it's
it
way
too
more
loud.
than enough.
Don't say too loud, it's right here.
We gave we don't think it will even take the 5,000 to do this, because we're working off of a template.
Yeah.
So it's going to depend on how much training the different departments and stuff have to have. Some will need more than others, obviously, but they really can't mess up anything on the site. If they put a file in there that's not correct, delete it and do it again. It's that simple. The main parts of the website, you guys will not be able to edit. They will be locked down. Photos needs uploaded, they're going to send to us and we're going to upload them. Text needs changed and the box is on here. That's hard-coded and you guys won't be able to do that. All you'll be able to manipulate is going to be that little box in the corner down there where you post your stuff. That's the only thing you guys will have access to. And each department will be locked to their department. So the clerk will only have access to the clerk's page. The treasurer will only have access to the treasurer's page.
Thanks, sir.
Did that answer your question, Martha?
I was just going to ask him to say that because he said that in the legislature. So, yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I want to give a shout out to Cody for doing the legwork on all this. I mean, he really took the bull by the horns and got us where we are to get this voted on, so I appreciate that.
Well,
10 years later.
and,
Well, but it only took him a couple months, so I
Correct.
appreciate that.
and in all fairness, I've had numerous phone calls of, what do you think? Phone calls.
Okay, you
between-
too, Bobby, but.
No. Between Cody and Martha, I mean, they spearheaded this, they
Yeah,
got collaborated.
I'll give credit where it's due.
They went to their committee, presented to the committee, and the committee came back, so that's how this is supposed to function. So, any more questions for me?
I'd like to expand on one thing about that. So basically, we're going to work with the legislative committee. There's 5 or 6 people that are on that committee. They're going to be the ones that decide, we want that picture, we want this text. I mean, you guys will give it to them, and then they'll give it to us. We can't work with 35 or 40 people. We need to work with 2 or 3 people to be able to get this done as expeditiously as you need it done. So that's who we've chosen to work with, so, because it falls pretty much under the legislative side. So.
I've got that.
I just wanted to, again, here and Julie say thank you for those who worked on this. Congratulations, Shelby County, you're on the internet.
Not yet, the vote hasn't been taken.
Congratulations.
Bobby, I want Dave to clarify or state one more thing. Because there are various departments and some, as he said, might have more work to do to get their particular page up and running than others, we don't have to wait for all of that to be done to get the website up and running. We can click the button and get the bare bone basics up now, and then as each department head has their department ready to go, turn that particular department on.
And what we'll do in the side menu there is like, if the treasurer's office isn't ready, we'll either put it under construction phase there, or we'll hide the treasury department for now until she's ready to go with her information. So it's going to depend on what you guys want.
I had Sonny here.
I just want to verify that the legislative committee, by creating a website, my understanding that some of the stagnation on that in the past was not having a website is better than having a website that's not current. The only way that our website will be current is for our department heads that are elected officials keep it current. Are we going to be in any, first of all, have we asked the department heads, are they good with this? Secondly, if the treasurer's office is not up and running for 6 months to a year, does that put us in a legal situation where, yeah, we have a website, but it's not up to date?
The way I understand the law is if we don't put the treasurer's office up there, they're not covered by that part of the regulations. The primary parts that you guys have to have updated is the election stuff. That's what drives the whole entire website. If it wasn't for the State Board of Elections and the laws that they've passed, you guys would not even be required to have a county website.
And that's her department.
That's her department. And we've had that long discussion several times. And she's willing to
Ms. Fox,
do it.
you're good with this?
I'm not sure that I'll have everything ready to go in 3 months, but I mean, it's a busy time in the county clerk's office right now, tax extension, election, but we'll get stuff going as soon as we can. I'd also like to say, Dave, that I don't want the county board under the county clerk. I want the county board to be county board.
Oh, it is.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, it's the county board is on separate.
I couldn't see that, so.
It's hard to see, and I apologize again. We didn't realize we were going to have a projector problem until 4 o'clock this afternoon, so.
I had Don over here.
You mentioned a while ago about a streaming service, and I don't see anything in this motion or
That's
anything
not
on the
part of
agenda
this.
about that.
Yeah, that's not part of this. It's a separate, it's another item that you're going to talk about later on. They just wanted to know, can this website stream your meetings? And yes, it can. But I don't know what number it is, but that's something that's coming up here for you to talk about for the new camera, the microphones all that you're going to buy to be able to live stream. So we will be able to do that through the website.
Any other discussion? I think I heard somebody call the vote. Hearing none, all in favor of MyTech Solutions to activate the Shelby County website, train and communicate with all appropriate personnel? Yes. Roll call vote, please.
Mark Bennett.
Yes.
Teresa Bay.
Yes.
Cody Brands.
Yes.
Tim Brown.
Yes.
Carol Cole.
Yes.
Julie Edwards.
Yes.
Martha Fernhaber.
Yes.
Clay Hardy.
Yes.
Matt Kessler.
Yes.
Annette Martin.
Yes.
Tad Mayhaw.
Yes.
Keith McCormick.
Yes.
Tim Morse.
Yes.
Lori Nelson.
Yes.
David Ogden. Bobby Worman.
Yes.
Sonny Ross.
Yes.
Don Tate.
Yes.
Brett Wallace.
Yes.
Jeremy Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, we'll move on to item 10. Reed, if you take the floor with your discussion and votes of approving of the resolution for the oil bids, resolution to award the Pug Mill oil bid, 50 positions.
Reed Best, Highway Department. We held an oil letting on February 3rd to make sure that our department can oil and ship as well as all the townships in the county. So it went well. So the first resolution I've got is to award the oil bids to Howell Paving. The county is plans on using 78,000 gallons of bituminous material seal coat HFE 300 asphalt emulsion. The price was $3.20 per gallon, so that will total up to $249,600. And we also included 400 ton of M1907 cold mix that we can pick up for $88.50 a ton, totaling out to $35,400. So that's the first resolution.
Motion to approve the resolution on the oil bids. Matt, seconded by Clay. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mark Bennett.
Yes.
Bruce Bank.
Yes.
Cody Grant.
Yes.
Tim Brown.
Yes.
Darrell Cole. Julie Edwards. Yes. Mark Burnaber. Clay Hardy.
Yes.
Matt Kessler.
Yes.
Matt Martin. Yes. Ken Nagle.
Yes.
Keith McCormick.
Yes.
Tim Morse.
Yes.
Lori Nelson. David Ogden.
Yes.
Robbie Orman. Cindy Ross.
Yes.
Don Tate.
Yes.
Brett Wallace. Jeremy Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
This next resolution awards the contract of 33,000 gallons of the same type of oil to be used in production of cold mix patch on our highway department lot. Howell Paving has got the lowest bid, and they will provide that for $3.09 a gallon, totaling $101,970.
Motion to approve the outpayment bid. Don Tate, second. Chad, any discussion? Just to clarify, the first oil was for the road, the second one's for your lot.
Yes, it's to make cold mix, cold patch. Yep.
When you say lot, it's not for your physical lot, it's put on the lot for
Yep.
your inventory.
We make it on site. Yeah, we mix it on site with Howell's help.
Very good. Any other questions? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mark Bennett.
Yes.
Bruce Bank. Yes. Cody Grant.
Yes.
Tim Brown.
Yes.
Darrell Cole. Julie Edwards. Yes. Burnaber.
Yes.
Clay Hardy. Matt Kessler.
Yes.
Matt Martin. Yes. Ken Nagle.
Yes.
Keith McCormick.
Yes.
Tim Morse.
Yes.
Lori Nelson. David Ogden.
Yes.
Robbie Orman. Cindy Ross.
Yes.
Don Tate.
Yes.
Brett Wallace.
Yes.
Jeremy Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
And last is a 50/50 petition for Cold Spring Township to replace a 48-inch by 30-foot corrugated metal pipe with a 48-inch by 40-foot corrugated metal pipe located on 675 North Road near 1100 East Road. This is a quarter-mile north of Waynesburg Hill. The estimated cost is $3,870, and that will be shared 50/50 between the township and the county.
Motion to approve the 50/50 petition, Mark, seconded by Brent. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mark Bennett.
Yes.
Bruce Bank. Cody Grant.
Yes.
Tim Brown.
Yes.
Darrell Cole. Julie Edwards. Yes. Mark Burnaber.
Yes.
Clay Hardy. Matt Kessler.
Yes.
Matt Martin. Ken Nagle.
Yes.
Keith McCormick.
Yes.
Tim Morse.
Yes.
Lori Nelson. David Ogden.
Yes.
Robbie Orman. Cindy Ross.
Yes.
Don Tate.
Yes.
Brett Wallace.
Yes.
Jeremy Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Item 10. We've been through 11, 12, 13, and 14. Now we'll move on down to item 15. Really, this is something I put on the agenda extremely last minute. I got an email yesterday that I forwarded to you guys, or 2 days ago I forwarded to you yesterday. I just wanted to put it on your guys' radar that we do have interest to put in a high line. That would be a piggyback to, in part to, some of them that are already on the Shelby County electric power lines. What I'm understanding is they are single pole structures with the drape over the top to carry multiple lines. Anyway, the representative from Prairie Power, actually not the representative, it was the attorney from Prairie Power, basically said that it is a infrastructure that, since it crosses the county, we need to be approving or disapproving. I will say, when I looked at that map, I was certain he said in conversation that it was to run on property lines. And when I look at this, there might be some misconception of where the property lines are at, because it runs right smack dab to the middle of our property. So I'm going to dig into this some more. I'll bring it to the zoning committee in due time. And I need to contact Shelby Electric just to confirm where their poles are at, and then get back with them and then report back to the committee. So you all have the email I sent to you, which has the attorney's information on it, plus the lead engineer for Prairie Power. So by all means, I would say if you guys want to contact them through email, shoot them an email, you have their addresses. Teresa.
Okay, I had a conversation with the lead engineer, King Camper,
Yes.
today. Seems how this is what I used to do for a living and stuff. This is a transmission line, and what is going to go across the county farm, it's going to go directly across the fields and stuff. It's not going to follow the roadway and stuff. It is a single pole structure. They need a 100-foot easement, 50 foot on either side of the pole. He informed me that he thinks there'll be 12 poles with down guys and anchors, because they're going to have some angles on some stuff when they come onto the property. There is no underbuild to be put on these poles, which that is a distribution system that would go underneath. And at the point that it's going to cross the farm, there will be no distribution on the poles. I questioned him about the route they were taking, because it's going from IHI, if you're familiar with that on 16, to behind Walmart to make a looped feed out of their system. Right now, it's just a radio feed for these substations. And I said, it sure would seem to me the shortest way to do this, is not 13 miles round and about. But he said that the airport is the problem there with the more direct route. And I talked to him about possibly putting it underground. And he said that they do not put this voltage underground. So, and when they come out of IHI and get onto 16, it will be a double circuit 69 line along 16 till they get to 128 south. And one circuit's going to go south to the Cowden area, and then this one will continue on and loop around and stuff. But it does cross right through the county farm. And I asked him when we got closer to it, if possibly he could meet and go through all this with me and look at the route with me. I don't know that he's ever driven it. This was done by an aerial shot to lay out this route.
Did, you mentioned something anyway. Carol, this had nothing to do with what we talked about a month ago, did it?
What was that?
The Army power lines going across the Army Corps. This has nothing to do, this is police subject.
No, that has to do with the Army Corps of Engineers. No, this has to do with the farm, and I'm not against the power lines, but, I've been out there a lot. I don't know if anybody else has been out to the farm and knows where it is or anything about it. You should go. But anyway, I have a picture of the farm here, okay? I know you can't see it, but the farm is two sections. This is 156 acres and this is 80. And this line right here goes directly through the farm. There are no lines there right now. The lines stop
on the south side of the road about, at the lane. So there are no lines that go directly in front yet. There are no lines right there. So they want to make that line go to that property, or one of the sections, and go straight north. Then it also goes into Furr's farm and Susie Kircher's farm and somebody else's. And I've talked to 6 different farmers today, and none of them are for this easement because it's going right through their farms. And that's what I have an objection to. You know, I mean, it's like, I'm not a farmer, but I don't know how far this is to here. I'm going to say a half a mile. Something like that, half a mile. So it's a half a mile. There are some trees. They have to go through the trees.
We're going to have to clear 100 feet on each side.
Yeah, which isn't a big deal, but it is. I mean, this is, it's just all land.
Yeah,
So,
can you farm that, can you farm the easement?
Part of that, yes, you can farm the easement usually.
but it's not fun, is it, Mark? Or people
No,
don't
going
really
around
like to
things,
do that?
one thing is that there where the trees are going through, we're not farming it anyway.
We're farming here and here. We're right. We're
Yes, I
farming
just
all
mean
that.
right where the tree area is,
Yeah.
where the
Well, that would be the only place we don't
ditch
farm.
goes, correct.
I think the reason why it was spotted there is because it was presumed that was a property line or maybe an aerial view.
This is a picture of the farm.
I know what you're saying. On the street view,
Yeah.
They're separate parcels.
on the street view,
Yeah.
that's what it looks like, but on an aerial map or a parcel map,
Yes.
they're separate, so that would be presumed a line.
Yeah.
And I think we need to probably revisit this and come back and say
Yeah.
X, Y, Z,
Anybody
and,
wants any of these?
and let them know. Anyway, we've burned on it tonight. Yes, sir.
Something like this happened close to home. There was a substantial payout to landowners where the power line went through. Are we talking about something like this here? If this goes across the Shelby County farm, if we want it, there should be a substantial payout for that. And what happened at home was area landowners got together and hired one law firm. And the one law firm got, the guy with 80 acres, this settlement, the guy with 160, this settlement. But the payout was surprisingly substantial, so are we even, we shouldn't just sign an easement and give it to them.
No, the whole point of this agenda item was, discussion and discovery, and it came up, I got a phone call about a month ago. I returned the call a week, 10 days later, and as it would be a week or 10 days later, he returned my phone call. So this conversation could have started a month ago, but it started yesterday, 2 days ago.
Should we be looking at maybe joining with some other landowners and seeing if they're talking about a certain law firm to?
So, as Carol's alluded to, she's talked to numerous landowners around the area, and there could possibly, we could possibly create an avenue that we could work on, collectively.
Okay.
These are all things that, like I said, this is discovery, this is all points that we go back to committee with, and then the committee would be the liaison, and then so on. But, yeah. Mark?
Normally in a half mile, because I dealt with the one Tim was speaking about, in a half mile distance, depending on whether the pole is at the beginning of a half mile or it's out of your property right before the first pole. Normally it's 4 poles per half mile.
He told me 12.
12 poles.
They're going to use smaller pole then.
He told me 12 poles.
Okay.
That's a lot of poles.
The ones we have around Weekwood are very large, and they're 10 feet in diameter, 30 feet deep. This is the hole they dig, and that's full of concrete.
These
On
aren't
these 12,
concrete.
they're not going to be
They're
near
not
that.
concrete based, they're wood poles, wood pole
They're
structures.
really wood, okay.
Yes.
It's not a high transmission line.
So, yeah, things are not adding up, so.
Yeah, so I doubt if they'll be very much paid for a wooden pole setup.
The other,
It's gonna be anything.
The other thing that I would ask that we keep in the back of our minds as managers of county property is the benefit to our residents of the county, So as we weigh intrusion, we weigh the benefit. So, you know, as we communicate with our landowners in that meeting area, keep that in mind. That would be my suggestion. But without further ado, I'd say we move on.
Hey, Bobby, I just want to say, if there's anybody that ever wants to go to the farm, you don't know where it is, let me know. I'll be glad to take you.
All right, so item 16 is discussion and vote to approve the annual resolution for participation in the service program of the Office of State's Attorney Appellate Prosecutor Program from 12/1/22 to 11/30/23 at the cost of $7,000. If there is nobody here that, there's 5, 6 of us been on the board in the past where this is a fairly standard procedure where this resolution allows us, the appellate prosecutor, and should be without fee. Jeremy?
Motion to approve.
Jeremy makes the motion to approve, Martha seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mark Bennett.
Yes.
Teresa Bain.
Yes.
Cody Brands.
Yes.
Tim Brown.
Yes.
Carol Cole.
Yes.
Julie Edwards.
Yes.
Frank Fernandez. Ray Hardy. Matt Kessler. Nat Martin.
Yes.
Tad Mayhall.
Yes.
Keith McCormick.
Yes.
Tim Morse.
Yes.
Lauren Nelson. David Ogden.
Yes.
Bobby Mormon.
Yes.
Sonny Ross.
Yes.
Don Tate.
Yes.
Brent Wallace.
Yes.
Jeremy Williams. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, item 17 is the discussion and vote to approve the resolution concerning Illinois gun control bills. Do I have a host? Jeremy.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, seconded by Heath. Discussion, Jeremy.
Mr. Chairman, after consultation with a few of the department heads, this does not pertain to every department head, as is implied in the second, be it further resolved, on page 2 of the resolution. Since it doesn't apply to all department heads, I would make the motion to amend that part of the resolution to include only the sheriff, the state's attorney, and the coroner's offices specifically and only, please.
So I have a motion to amend the resolution to include only the sheriff, the coroner, and the state's attorney's office. Do I have a second? Heath seconds the motion. Any discussion on the amendment? Ted?
Due to reading the discussion at the committee for this and the sheriff expressing concerns about potential financial impacts, I make a motion to table this until we have a state's attorney to give us some guidance.
I second that.
Motion to table. A second. So we're tabling. What you're doing, Tad, is you're tabling the amended motion.
Yeah, you're tabling the amendment, or you want to table the whole thing?
So
Okay. I'll respect that with permission of the second. I will withdraw my motion to amend first.
I'll let Jess catch up. It's on voice, isn't it?
I'm good.
So the motion to amend has been withdrawn. The original motion is to approve the resolution. Now,
I make a motion to table for legal counsel.
Tad makes the motion, Martha seconds to table for legal counsel.
Can we do some discussion before we vote, Bobby, on this?
Typically, it's non-discussion, we're going to table it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion aye. 2 noes, which would be
Sonny.
Sonny and Tim.
Tim Brown.
Tim Brown.
Mark.
And Mark's no.
What were you?
Yes, I'm an aye.
You're nine?
I'm an
Okay.
aye. So it was the
So 3 nays.
3 nays.
Okay.
Correct. So item 16 has been tabled.
17.
I'm sorry. Item 17 has been tabled. Item 18 is discussion and vote to approve amendments to the Shelby County Board rules. Motion to approve by Jeremy, seconded by Tad. Any discussion? Jeremy?
After conversation with the clerk, I would like to make the motion to amend Rule 17 to include the line that all bills must be submitted by department heads to the clerk's office a minimum of 7 days prior to every regularly scheduled full county board meeting. If I could get a second, please.
Second. Mark seconds. So, the amendment is, would you please repeat that?
I'll try. I would like to include the language that all bills are to be submitted to the clerk's office a minimum of 7 days prior to each regularly scheduled county board meeting.
Discussion on the amendment. Martha?
I guess I just want clarification that these are board rules, and do we have the authority to force the department heads to get those bills to the clerk's office in that amount of time? I mean, I thought board rules were pertaining to how the board behaves, if you will, or conducts our business, and I don't see this as being a part of board business.
So at a knee-jerk reaction, the only thing I can see is if a bill was submitted within the 7-day time frame and the committee didn't take any observation of that bill, we're setting a time frame that says you were outside of the time frame and the bill's going to be pushed to the next month. That's the only thing I could see.
The order of business, as they currently stand, say all bills must be submitted 7 days prior to the meeting. And any claim that comes in prior to 4 on Tuesday before the Thursday meeting is going to go to committee for review and will be processed. But we don't want to have to try to have all of the claims dumped on us. We've just got departments to submitting bills on a timely basis for us to get them processed. We don't want all the departments dumping their bills on us on Tuesday for a Thursday board meeting.
And that part I have no disagreement with that at all, Jessica. I don't want you to think
And
that
that's-
I do. I'm just asking if having this in our board rules or board procedures is really the place for it to be. Is that our place?
It's in there. It's in there now.
Yeah, well, it's basically
It's
the
in
same
there
as
now.
we have now,
Yeah.
Jessica.
Then why does it need to be amended?
Because he changed it to 2 days.
Yeah, the reason I changed it to 2 is because the finance committee meets 2 days before the board meeting.
Right.
And then Jessica said, especially during busy time like election season, they'd like that extra time. And one thing additional, if people could take their bills to the clerk's office basically 48 hours before a board meeting, that causes significant rush on the clerk's office, which could cause error. And then the finance committee could get errant documentation. So they need to have the time in the clerk's office to get the finance committee accurate information. And was this supposed to be business days or calendar days?
It's always just said 7 days. So, I mean, normally people do them the Thursday before the Thursday board meeting. So, yeah.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Mark?
So the way this turns out is, she gets the bill 7 days before. When she understands if something's got a postmark on it to come in between that 7 days and when we actually review the bills. But like she said, at least she doesn't get everything dumped on at the last minute.
Okay, so the vote here is to approve the amendment that adds a language of 7 days to submit the claims to the clerk. Voting on the amendment. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now, we'll go back to the original motion to vote and approve the amendments to the Shelby County Board rules as presented with the amendment. And who motioned that? I know I had. Jeremy had a motion on the floor and Mark had the second. Any discussion on the amendments as originally presented? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 19, discussion and vote to approve Shelby County Board public comment policy. Jeremy makes a motion to approve. I get a second. Dave, a second. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to amend bullet number 4. Bullet number 4 states members of the public may yield their time to another member of the public. I would like to add language to that that says, however, any one member of the public shall not exceed 10 minutes, and the member yielding their time to another shall forfeit any other use of their time. My fear is that if we allow an enumerated number of people to speak for an enumerated amount of time, we could filibuster our meeting and be here till 9:35 at night. I make that motion. I'd like to get a second, please.
Come on. Jeremy seconds.
I thought it was 5 minutes. You said 10?
It is 5 minutes, but this public comment policy would change. Currently, we have no yielding option. This public comment policy allows for yielding, but I would suggest that we limit any one person to 10 minutes.
Okay.
Because unlike other boards, are not going to have an overall public body comment time limit.
Carol.
Okay, so number one, it says there shall be no overall limit to the public body comment. Then number two, it says the time limit per person shall be 5 minutes. How can you have no time limit and then you have 5 minutes?
Some places allow, some places say we're only gonna have 45 minutes for public body comment, and people have to sign up to speak. Well, if they say they're only gonna allow 45 minutes for public body comment, and you're the 12th person and the 11 ahead of you took the 45 minutes, you just don't get to talk. So what we're saying is the public body comment section as a whole is not gonna have an overall time limit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but if you put those two together, it looks like first you don't have any and then you do. That was my bad. Okay. And then, I don't agree with number 4. I think that should be struck from that nobody should be able to yield their time to someone else. That's just my feeling.
You don't want people to yield their time?
No. I think if you get 5 minutes, you get 5 minutes. But if you have a minute left, I don't think you should give it to Mark.
Okay.
I think it's 5 minutes is 5 minutes, and that's how it's been working. I mean, then you gotta keep track of, this person's got a minute over here, and then, and then maybe somebody can get another, I don't know. I just thought that's just me.
And I pretty much already, it's not hard to scratch somebody's time and then add, do the +1 over here, +2. But that's on my end of things, don't worry about that. I'm already gonna keep track of time. Mark.
Is this to your discretion if you want to extend it? As chair?
Most generally, the chairman still holds the order of the meeting room. So there is discretion.
We've experienced a few times in the last few years that we'd like some people to go ahead and continue. They're making a good point.
Well, and that's the discretion that I don't see given to somebody.
But as a general rule, we're setting up these parameters. And that's the vote and discussion right now. Martha?
I think the public policy comment as it stands right now just says that there's the time limit to 5 minutes per person. And what the legislative committee put together was the time limit per person shall be 5 minutes, and discretion for further time per person shall be the purview of the chair. So that's the added language from what we have current day.
It's putting what's been tradition in language.
It's just putting it in writing. That's exactly right.
Lori?
I find it challenging to limit anyone's time to speak to their representatives in a public body. So to amend that, I'm struggling to understand why there would be qualifications when what's presented seems pretty clear. Can you speak to why it would be beneficial to amend that?
If I'm hearing your question right, you're viewing this as if a 5-minute time limit is established and there's no time limit to the overall agenda item of public body comment, so there could be 100 people stand up for 5 minutes, which is 500 minutes, that there should be no yield of time. Is that what you're saying? So if somebody speaks for a minute and they want to yield 4 minutes to their neighbor.
I find limiting a citizen's speech to address their public representation concern.
So we're already limiting it to 5 minutes.
I struggle with that. I didn't put that
Right.
into
So
motion.
you
But-
want somebody to have all the time they want?
No, to limit it further so that only,
We're actually
One person.
broadening it to 10 minutes.
Yeah, this broadens,
so why not 3 people yielding their time? Why not 4 people yielding their time to one speaker?
You're going to get into a filibuster situation, and we're going to be here longer than we already are. Because certain people will bring 40 of their friends that won't have the gumption to say anything, but they would have the gumption to say, Tad, I'll give you my time, so Tad can sit here and wax eloquent for 4 hours.
Indeed, I can.
That's why my suggestion is to amend that indefinite amount of yielding to a definitive amount of time. That way, if someone does come in here, someone does have something, and they need another minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes, they at least can have 10.
Yeah, and Lori, to this subject, you know, we had an impeachment hearing about 2.5 years ago where public body comment was very respected in a time frame fashion per person. There wasn't a lot of any one person that went on for 30 minutes, perhaps. But the whole public body comment went on for about an hour and 25, 27 minutes, I remember that. So we're not going to, you know, this does put some parameters on that. So
I understand that. I was there. I believe if it's the same.
Yeah, you were.
I was there. I am compelled to say that more and more restriction, I feel like any kind of guidelines or parameters around it needs to be more speaker friendly to the end that the people do have a public place to speak to representation.
This is more relaxed in favor of the speaker than what we currently have.
That was not my understanding when I read it in the package.
Oh, it's very much less restrictive than what we currently have.
With the amendment. The amendment was not what I
Oh,
understood.
the amendment is a little more restrictive, but
That's what I'm speaking.
I spoke with Sonny about this earlier, and I think he makes a good point. We don't need to hear from one citizen for a prolonged period of time. I'd rather hear from many at shorter periods of time per each over the same total amount of time. I'd rather hear from more of the people. And
Okay.
so this will allow for that as opposed to one person getting a lot of time yielded to them.
Okay.
So only one person would speak.
That answers my question because it wasn't about how does it work. I understand what your amendment is proposing to work or how it would work. But my question was as to why would it need to be amended from the packet that we got. So that answers the question. Thank you.
So we kind of took the normal rule, if you will, or normal procedure of, it's always at the chair's purview to allow somebody to extend, and we just put it in writing here. So maybe in bullet point 4, where we talk about the yielding of time, and they may have one other person's 5 minutes yielded to them for a maximum of 5, maybe you go ahead and tack on that same language again, and any time limit extension is at the discretion and purview of the chair.
well, it's already in there.
That's in bullet point 2.
Bullet point 2 allows for that.
It does for the first 5 minutes. What I'm saying is in bullet point 4, where we're talking about the amendment, to say you're only allowed to have yielded to you one other person's 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So if somebody's talked for their 10 minutes,
And I would take the reins and allow the extension on 10 minutes.
Yes.
if-
And I know that's- but
if it
should
was
we-
necessary.
should we go ahead and add that just to have it in writing? Like, it's what we've been doing, it's what normally goes on in bullet point number 2, but we put it to language as you said, I think.
Okay, so we have an amendment on the table. We need to make a decision on the amendment before we take any other action, because then we're going to muddy the water. And we're going to muddy the water. So, after all the discussion, any other discussion? So the vote here is the amendment that Sonny recited to you would repeat it.
To finish the sentence, it will say, however, any one member of the public shall not exceed 10 minutes, and the member yielding their time to another shall forfeit any other use of their time.
Are you gonna email that?
I have it in print. I'll hand you.
All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
No.
Lori, Julie, Carol. They were nays. Motion carries. Now we're going to go back to the original motion, is to approve the amendments to the public comment policy with the amendment, as amended. Any discussion? Because we've discussed the whole thing kind of in a roundabout way, so if there's any other discussions, hearing Matt.
I just want to say that I thought tonight, even though there was a little contention at times, I thought it was good that the board members addressed the responsive you don't have to be responsive, but you were. I thought that was healthy discussion. I think that's what some people need. I think it does help to relieve maybe some suspicion or tension. And I thought those who spoke did a nice job. That was a good thing. I don't know if the chairman will allow that a lot, but I thought tonight was helpful. Just anecdotal.
Thank you, Matt. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye of the, to approve the county board public body policy.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Carol? No. Don?
Jessica, will you email this as changed, plus the change of the board and
Yes,
rules?
yes, once I get, yeah.
Thank you. She's good for that.
Okay, item 20 is discussion and vote to purchase of live streaming technology and pertinent subscriptions. In your board packet, I do believe there was page, where is it? Was it in the board packet or was it a separate file?
It was separate, because I got it after some packet, so it wasn't separate.
Okay, so there was two files, one was Shelby County estimate 1154 and 1153. Who authored this business? Was this legislative?
This came out of the legislative. I would defer to the gentleman from Finley. He's done more research than I have.
All right, Cody, would you like to take the floor?
So, with individuals not to be named, there's been a hot topic about getting our own. So, I actually emailed them to find out what they use. The only thing that we will not use is their wireless subscription that they had, because we have internet. Since we cannot purchase this equipment online because we do not have a credit card, I got a hold of I wanted to call you Doug, I'm sorry, to find this stuff and to give a bid or a quote on what it would cost. So there is a yearly subscription to a ResPro streaming software, and in that software you can stream about, I think, we talked about Rumble, right? Somebody.
Yeah, Rumble is another option you use.
Yeah, Rumble, you can directly go to YouTube, Facebook, and I think there's several more. If you don't have.
30 different services that you can go to.
Yeah. And all we have to do is plug it into a modem if there's no wireless internet, and
It's pretty much plug and play.
yeah.
Once we have a subscription, then plug in the hardware and it's flash.
The only thing that I'm not sure of, and we don't have a state's attorney to ask just yet, would be if we have to keep maybe an SD card of these meetings and for how long. They will be posted online, but I'm not sure if we have to actually keep a copy.
So, public record.
Right.
So if we're recording a public record, we have to keep that public record. And there again, we'd have to have a pretty distinct opinion on where the destruction order comes from. Okay.
Bobby, the meeting that, the UCCI meeting we went to, Tim, and they explained things that you had, and I have a list of that stuff, things that you have to keep for 12 months, and then they suggest you get rid of that stuff, and then the stuff that you have to keep forever and ever and ever, you know, so that might be one of those things, and I can share that information with anybody.
Yeah, and to that point, if we are uploading to a website like YouTube, Rumble, or whatever the platform is, wouldn't that stay up there indefinitely until?
Unless they take it down.
Unless it's taken, okay. Julie?
When he presented this to us in the committee, his partner, your partner, is well-versed and used to, I believe, work with state statutes. Yeah.
He actually designed the state on my website from scratch.
Yeah, so Dave's partner is well-versed in all the rules and laws and stays current on all that. And he presented that to us during the committee, that they will help us stay in compliance with everything that's required of the website. That's part of the service that they offer us, is compliance with the legalities of having a website and the storage and what we have to maintain.
So I kind of led to my point, I think, that a couple people have touched on. So, I mean, I looked up this restaurant Restream, and they have very, very good reviews, even most recently in the last month, as far as the services. What I don't see is the storage capacity, if somebody can speak to, like, so we stream, and it says up to 10 hours, which we do a pretty good job of running out the clock on that here lately. But where does that then go? Where does, in the universe of storage, accountability, record keeping, where does that reside indefinitely? Is it the website?
It would be stored in the restreaming service if you're subscribed to it in the cloud.
Sure. So we have in the subscription every year, the fee. Do we know what the capacity is? Like, when do we start getting ticked up more? Because this is more than likely an indefinite record. So if it's not available on the website that we'll be having, and it's in this platform for oversight purposes, how do we want to oversee it? And two, what is the data storage capacity of that?
I'd have to go back and check whether they have different plans that you can subscribe to. We're, I think, on like the second or third level of the plan.
Yeah, and I looked, I did look as much as I could understand it, but I didn't understand the storage feature of our data indefinitely as a record-keeping entity.
And it's not indefinite. You're going to set that when you sign up for service.
Sure. So I guess where do we drag and drop that for indefinite record keeping?
That's part of what you have to select when you make your subscription. You're going to tell it what you want, how long you want the recording to be kept.
Okay, yeah, I don't understand. It's more of just an education on my end. It's just trying to understand, like, where do we keep it forever? Because I think we, just like our recordings here, I think we've set a permanent record. Is how do we host it forever?
Bobby,
Jeremy.
This is something we might have to keep forever, and so we're going to want to, save this file electronically, label it, file it, folder on a computer, and I don't know whether you have a computer for that, you get a computer for that, you put it on a series of flash drives. I don't know, but this is probably something we need to keep, and I think it's something we should keep anyway. So.
I hate to interrupt, but I actually think that OMA says that after a year, you can request disposal. We, after a year, request disposal of our duplicate records and our open meeting recordings from the Records Commission.
Is that your verbal and video then?
We don't video. I only audio.
Right, that's what I'm saying though,
So, but I'm pretty sure OMA says video and audio.
Cody.
The other option, and I looked into this, is having an SD card. I think they come in like 1 terabyte, is like $10 at Walmart or something similar. So if we have to buy 12 of those and then label those for that year, and then at 12 months, we can go back on top of that with the next year.
We have some record-keeping issues to deal with. Carol?
Do we have somebody that's going to man the recordings?
We talked in the legislative committee, and that will be up to the chairperson of that committee to either go get it or have somebody go get it. We'll keep it somewhere in the courthouse.
She was asking about who would be the
Who's
keeper.
going to be running the video in the meeting?
Just got turned on.
So, what she's asking, the keeper of the records, the clerk, would be tasked with extra, because as the keeper of the record, it would be on the clerk to maintain that. Correct?
I don't know that, because I keep one set of records. I don't keep, I keep my audio, I do what I have to do. But I don't know, that's something I guess I'll have to check with my organization about.
And that's what you were driving at, wasn't it?
Well, I was wanting to know who actually was going to do it, yeah, and then who's going to take care of all that other stuff. You have to hire somebody to, another person. I mean, I'm all for it. I think we need videos, but there's some questions. Yes, Dave. Oh, I'm sorry, I know.
It's basically a camera, just like every camera watchdog. You're going to push the button, turn it on, let it record, it's on the live stream. As soon as you push the button, it's on the live stream out the internet. When you're done, you push the button, it's done.
So presumably, without any objection with the judge, it could sit back here in the back room, somebody could drag it out, and then there's 22 of us, so hopefully one of us would remember to drag the camera out and turn it on. It would, in the conversation, it would be proven to the board. Yeah, she's putting her phone number up and volunteering for all this extra work. Sonny?
I have 3 questions. Number 1, do we have the money budgeted for this?
We can use the new, not ARPA, what was the other one?
The grant?
Yes.
The LACTF?
Yes.
Okay. On this one invoice, 15, invoice 1153, it says this estimate does not include labor to configure and install the system. Do we have any basic idea of what that might be above and beyond this estimate?
So 1153 is the estimate of $4,111.65.
Are you talking about, like for setup, like to?
I don't know. I'm just reading the estimate, and it says this estimate does not include labor to configure and install this system and will be completed on a time and materials basis when project is completed.
Yes, so the only thing that we would have to do would be to sign up for the live streaming.
So there's not any labor. Okay.
That just is a contingent, so they have to go somewhere to do the work.
And then my third question is on the other invoice for the REST Pro Restream. It says 10 hours. Is that 10 hours a year? We're going to smoke through that in 2 meetings. Is that 10 hours a time?
We might have an expert on this too. John?
I can explain our experience with the camera appears to be one like this, the microphone like this, the streaming device like this, Restream. The 10 hours is they'll store 10 hours of video on their service. So like tonight, I'm assuming I'll be recording for 4 hours or less, hopefully. I send it to Restream in 720p, and that's high definition, but not really high definition, because once you go past 720p, the file size exponentially grows. You can go all the way up to 4K if you want. So you go to Restream, you can download the 720p version of the video you just made. We also send out to Facebook, Twitter, our webpage, and YouTube. Our webpage is a watch it once it's gone, but we put a link in an article to the YouTube video that's always there, unless somebody does a copyright or something, if somebody wants to play some music that's copyrighted, YouTube will get rid of the video. And it's always on Facebook, and it's always on Twitter. So you got, if you do Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, you got 3 backups, plus you download it, and just get a 4 terabyte USB hard drive and stick it in there and put the date on it and what meeting it was. You can download it from Restream right onto the USB hard drive, and whoever the keeper of the videos are, just stick it in their desk drawer, and you don't have to have a special computer. But that's the answer to the 10 hours. It's 10 hours that they keep on their website. Then if you have a dash cam or something, if you're used to where it overwrites the old video, if you get more than 10 hours, the earliest video will get gone, whether you download it or not. So.
Does that answer? Martha?
Just a question on the equipment itself. There's a note on here that the camcorder is used. And then I'm also, I can't remember, Cody, you might have said it in our committee meeting, and that's been a while, I've slept since then, but did this go to bid?
No, it's under the 30,000.
Doesn't have to go to bid because it's under the bid, okay. And about the used equipment, is there just a significant cost savings in getting a used camcorder over new? Okay, thank you.
Mark?
To help a little bit as far as cost of equipment, I did a bunch of research and looked into what the specs are. They're about right in line with what you can find online.
What about for committees that, are not here? The camera's going to be here, let's say. What about for committees that meet the highway department or the airport? We don't really have a resolution or a working plan for that, do we?
Come in and pick it up.
You have to be coming in here and taking that.
You county equipment home on your liability. I would go back to some ideas I proposed about 2.5 years ago to at least have those all audio. All the committee meetings would be done in audio only. Because right now it's done on pencil and paper. So at least if the chairman or whoever is keeping the record of the committee meeting, just like here, we go back and listen to the audio, we can make accurate minutes. So as far as the committee meeting, at least if we could upload audio clip to the website, we're starting to bridge that gap of getting information and the discussions out there. So, good point. My suggestion was to hold off on the committees because the committees do meet in various places.
If we buy this, it doesn't say that we have to force the committees to do it immediately, right? Right. We can implement it as we go.
It's just my suggestion on that, to that situation. Any other comments, questions? Can I answer a question over here? Kurt? No?
Sir?
Any questions over here?
I don't have any, no.
Okay. Hearing Dave.
Do you need a motion?
I had a motion. Oh, geez. Jeremy, did you make the motion to approve?
No, I defer to Cody.
Yeah, I don't think we have any motion.
No motion on the floor. Jeremy makes the motion to approve the live streaming technology improvement subscriptions. Do I get a second? Dave makes a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Mark Bennett,
Yes.
Teresa Bain,
I'm going to abstain.
Cody Brands,
Yes.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Carol Cole,
Yes.
Julie Edwards.
Yes.
Martha Farnham.
Yes.
Clay Harvey.
Yes.
Matt Kessler.
Yes.
Nat Martin.
Yes.
Tad Mayhall.
Yes.
Keith McCormick.
Yes.
Tim Morse.
Yes.
Lori Nelson.
Yes.
David Ogden.
Yes.
Bobby Orman.
Yes.
Cindy Ross.
Yes.
Don Tate. Brent Wallace.
Yes.
Jeremy Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes 19 ayes, 1 abstain, Teresa Bain.
All right, thank you. Item 21 is discussion and vote for the county board to affirm the addition into the next compensation setting resolution for IMRF, health insurance, and all of the benefits standard to elected officers in Shelby County. Anybody like to make the motion? Martha makes a motion, Mark seconds, to affirm the addition into the next compensation setting resolution for IMRF, health insurance, and all other benefits standard to elected officers in this Shelby County. Discussion.
So, this was supposed, I think, and this may have been my typo, this was supposed to say for the state's attorney. I believe that's what came out of the legislative committee, because the office of state's attorney currently does not have those benefits. So I apologize if that's my typo, but that's what this was supposed to say.
Yeah, it's for the state's attorney.
I mean, they're an elected officer, so I don't think it really matters.
Well, but it's all other benefits that are standard to those elected officers. Some elected officers have those benefits and some do not, because it was changed for some in the last compensation setting resolution, but for others, the next compensation setting resolution has not come to the board yet. This is just affirmation that we will include that for the state's attorney, and it should be included for all applicable elected officers, so.
Okay, that makes sense. Tad?
So I just, again, I don't understand.
Okay.
So the previous state's attorney did not have the same package, and we're offering a new package to a new state's attorney?
So, correct. The state's attorneys of past has had a salary set by the state. The county offered no other, because, and honestly, I believe it was never pursued. If it was pursued, it probably would have been granted. But the compensation resolutions currently state that the state's attorneys be paid whatever the salary is, and that's it. So there's no health insurance, there's no retirement, and other benefits that would be included. So this is just saying that they would all be the same across the board in benefits-wise. Martha?
If I remember correctly, the last board within the last, I don't know, year, 6 to 18 months, something like that, this had been an oversight for the circuit clerk and that position as well. And there was this, was there not a special vote to get that included in the circuit clerks? This has been voted on somewhere in the last 2 years, because there was another elected office where this had been an oversight of a previous board for having that within the compensation package, and it was voted on at that point. To me, the error was then there, that they didn't amend it at that point to say all elected offices. So this just gets us to all elected officers, department heads, et cetera, in the county have the same benefit package. This isn't giving anybody preferential treatment over anybody else. It's just bringing it all to a level of equal.
And a lot of that discussion, back to what you're referring to, was it was several officers, I do believe, there was a resolution that was passed in the summer of last year prior to the election, according to statute. I do recall that. I don't remember the other. Cody?
Now, this doesn't start until the next,
Fiscal election.
the next election year, correct?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. The compensation setting resolution by law has to be passed by the board at least 180 days prior to the beginning of the next term. So this that's on the agenda here now does not apply to the state's attorney who was just appointed. This doesn't apply until we approve a compensation setting resolution for the next term, not the current term, it's the next term, which will start December 1 of '24.
So are we going to apply it across the board then, and not just to the state's attorney, but all elected officials? Is that what we're going to?
The way this reads, it would be all-inclusive.
And should it read,
Should there be wording in there to exclude us?
To elected officers.
It doesn't have to.
Board officers, I don't know.
It can't take effect until the next election.
Board members, this is elected officers.
I didn't know either.
I'd entertain a motion to table for
So we get the
I'll
word.
second that.
inappropriate, insufficient language.
I'll second.
I said I'd entertain a motion. So
Oh.
Matt made a motion.
I'll
Sunny
second.
seconds the motion to table. All in favor say aye. Aye. 21's tabled. 21 was tabled. We'll move on to 22, which is discussion and vote to change the Shelby County fiscal year to December 1 through November 30. Motion by Martha, second by Jeremy. Discussion. So, today's Thursday. I do believe on Tuesday or Wednesday, yesterday probably, Erica sent out an email illustrating the importance of this fiscal year shift. You know, like other agenda items, 23 is hingent on 22, so.
Just for clarification purposes, is this immediate retroactive to this year? And what is there an impact to that we could see at all?
So, Mark, I'll let you take the floor on this.
I may be wrong on this one, Jessica may have to correct me. The new budget starts September 1,
September 1.
and there's only 2 counties in the state that start their budget on September 1. So this will allow us to get to the following September 1, and another 3 months, which then will put us on December 1st. All of it, especially the real estate taxes, then can, all from first payment to second payment, can all come in under 1 year's budget.
Sure, yeah. And I understand all that. I'm asking for, like, where we're at in this year.
When we get the new budget approved in August, then that will take effect starting September 1. So we're asking them to go ahead and make September 1 through the following, December of the following year.
So basically, it's
Available
15
to
month
us by
budget.
saying, before we.
So do we have to amend our budget to?
No. We're not going to affect our current budget in any way. What we're looking at is, we're going to start the September 1 budget as prescribed, and then on the heels of that, we'll have a 3-month budget to carry us to December 1.
And sorry, yeah, that was my first point of question was, are we retroactively going back to affect this as of now? That's all I was asking. Thank you.
It's almost easier to think of as we would, it's not how it's going to work, but you put the 3-month budget in there, just plug it in, and that changes our fiscal year.
Okay.
Yeah, we've already asked them to do a full year, so we're really asking them to do 3 more months. And that's it.
So this will happen 2023, 2024.
Yes, the 23-24 budget will be a 12-month budget, and in the fall of 24, we'll have another 3-month budget to put us to December 1, and then we'll start December 1 rotation fiscal year. Jeremy had to call the vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So, number 23 is discussion and vote to request Bellwether do a 12-month budget and an additional 3-month budget for FY 23 and 24, which begins September 1. Sad makes the motion, second by Martha. We've had discussion on this. Any other questions? Mark?
We'll have to have a roll call vote because we're actually spending more money.
Okay. Yeah. We would be commissioning them.
I do have a question. Have you talked to Bellwether and they're agreeable to all this vendor? I know 12 months is 12 months, but it's the 3-month thing that.
Yeah, there already has been. In fact, I was thinking I had got a copy of that Eric just sent out. They issue. I talked to them that they was hoping to have this now, it would help work into their, since they're already working on it, it was easier to just add the 3 months.
They would piggyback the 3 months in with this next budget.
Mr. Chairman, what is that 3-month additional budget going to cost us?
It would be included in, from what I'm understanding, it would be included in the 12 months. They build them at the same time.
So if we're having 12 months done now, three more months would basically be 25% more.
What is that amount? What is the 12, I don't know what we're
You're
paying
asking
to
how
do
many
it.
there
Correct.
are.
Was it 50?
It's $12,000 a year.
Yes.
It's
$3,000.
Okay, it'd be $3,000.
But if we pay, if we're paying him that next year, another 12,000 anyway, they shouldn't charge us extra just for working up the 3-month budget, right? It should just be included in that next year's $12,000 that they're paying for their consultation.
That's what I would hope we would negotiate. That's why I was asking the question specific.
Well, we're going to be 3 months further down the road then when it comes to the 25 budget.
Bobby,
Carol.
I actually sent him an email and he said, this will require us to complete a 3-month budget and then a 12-month budget for the county, which will add very little to our fee. That's what he said. So it'll be something.
Very little. We are spending money, so roll call vote, please.
Mark Bennett.
Yes.
Teresa Bain.
Yes.
Cody Brands.
Yes.
Tim Brown.
Yes.
Carol Cole.
Yes.
Julie Edwards.
Yes.
Martha Fernhaber. Clay Hardy. Matt Kessler.
Yes.
Annette Martin.
Yes.
Tad Mayhaw.
Yes.
Keith McCormick.
Yes.
Tim Morse. Lori Nelson. David Ogden.
Yes.
Bobby Warman.
Yes.
Sonny Ross.
Yes.
Don Tate.
Yes.
Brent Wallace.
Yes.
Jeremy Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you. Item 23 has been approved. 24 is discussion and vote to approve assigning polling place location from the Waco 1 and 2 precincts to the former Lions Club building located at 415 North Main Street in Mowequa, according to 10 ILCS 5-11-2.
Make motion.
Second.
Motion by Lori, seconded by Martha. Discussion. Jessica, is this pretty much a rubber stamp? Everything?
Yeah, it had been in the village hall, we'd gotten some complaints regarding parking, et cetera. We moved it to the school for the June 28th, 22, and the general election in November. The school was just not a good fit. So fortunately, I think that the village of Mowequa will be purchasing the former Lions Club building, and they have graciously offered us its use for a polling place for future elections, and it's going to be an ideal location.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 25, committee reports. Any of the committees like to report on anything? We've discussed a lot out of legislative, so there's not much left to report on, is there? As anything in the finance? Or any other committee? Financing, okay. Chairman updates, pretty much, I put on the agenda is about the only update I have on hand as far as the power line issue. Move on to 27, chairman appointments. To entertain a motion to reappoint Jim Hampton to the Zoning Board of Appeals. The expiration of 2/28/28.
I'll make that motion.
Carol makes a motion. Seconded by Dave. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On the conversation of chairman appointments, I would just urge you all to consider the 708. I'm needing one appointment for that, and the West Central Economic Commission, I'm needing 2 appointments for that. So if anybody has interest in either one of those committees, they're outstanding. I'm sorry, they're not outstanding committees of the board. They are committees that we are obligated to. Anyway, get a hold of me later on. We'll get on the next agenda for this
We're
plan.
down to airport.
Airport also.
I was there the other day.
So if anybody has interest in the airport,
I'm interested in your.
Oh. okay. Correspondence. We've dealt with that already. Any old business? Is it good with the county?
I'd just like to make a statement that I found it interesting at the beginning of the night that there was over 100 people in here.
Stay long enough to run them all out.
I'm like 90-some% of them have chosen to leave. So if they were truly as adamant as they were earlier, they should still be here.
It's very disappointing.
I just want to make sure that's out there, that highly disappointed me that you come out with that hard early, but they can't stay.
They don't want to stay for the business of the
That's what I
county.
mean, we conducted most of the business with them not even here.
Yeah.
So I'm not,
They can only speak at a certain time. So why stay around? You
But
can't
if you're
talk.
gonna speak and you're gonna bash the board, then you should stay around and watch how the board conducts our
All right,
business.
I
I
had-
think that was the point.
I have Jeremy over here.
Very, very quickly, as far as old business transferring into something that will quickly become old, I don't think we've ever had audits on the sheriff's department done when 2 sheriffs left, and we did just have a state's attorney leave, and unless there's some kind of exception there, we had an officer leave a department, we're going to have that department audited, and I just wanted the board to be thinking about that.
Right, so audits.
Has to be filed within 6 months of the official leaving office, I believe.
Yeah, if anybody wants to look at the statute, it's ILCS 5556-31005. It basically outlines the audits.
Which committee is responsible for finding that? Auditor?
The board can send out an RFP, can't they?
Yeah, we need to have a RFP drafted. So we're starting to build an agenda for the budget committee. Okay, any other old business? Approval of the claims? A motion to approve the claims?
Yes.
Jeremy makes a motion to approve the claims. Second by Mark.
I would like to also,
This discussion.
I would like to amend the claims. We had a couple of questions during the committee meeting, and upon further review, I was able to find travel policy that we have for the county, and I sent it out to the other members of the committee, which I asked Jessica if we had any other updates on that policy since that time, other than the mileage changes, the pay per mile. We have not. Fortunately, Sonny spent quite a bit of time talking with the gentleman that had turned in the claim, and in reviewing it, it doesn't fall under our policy. And I feel very sad for them. I respect the dive committee a lot, but it's not even close to being on our policy. Sonny and I think maybe some others have decided that we would pitch in and take care of the bill. But going forward, it's been brought to their attention that this doesn't fall within their policy. Sonny, would you like to speak?
Yeah, I spoke with Dive Team Commander, and we highly respect them, and we know that we need them. There was some invoices that were submitted for breakfast for the dive members prior to training that had been previously approved by previous boards. So in good faith, they did that. However, we desire to do the right thing, and doing the wrong thing to try to do that isn't proper. So we want to pull those 3 amounts out, and to make our dive commander whole and show them that we mean no malice, a few of us are paying him for that so that he will be made whole, but the county is not going to incur that expense.
And so in my amendment, Sonny has the amounts with which we need to.
Would you like those, Lori? So there were 3 different amounts, one for 6623, one for 5456, and one for 6726, for a total of 18805. The amounts that totaled 8751 were for miscellaneous materials, supplies, tools, and equipment, and those will, that 8751 will be paid by the county.
So how much was it that you're not going to pay, the amount?
18805 will not come from the county.
Doesn't seem like a lot of money.
Nope, it absolutely is not a lot of money, but
Compared to some things we spend on.
It's an illegal payment.
It's what?
Not
It's an
following
illegal
the
payment.
policy is a problem.
You have a written policy, but we would like to take care of it, and they understand.
Okay.
I hope that they understand and it does not affect the group that works there and stuff, because they are volunteers and they do not get paid for their services, and they are needed with our lake and everything else. My son used to be on one of them, and he spent one Christmas looking for somebody that had drowned out by Lithia. So I personally think that this is kind of a petty thing.
well, I have formerly been on the dive team, so I have served with many of the members that are there, and in a situation where it's an emergency call out, where they're there for an extended period of time, that situation will be treated much differently.
Why would it be treated differently?
Because it's an
They have-
emergency and it's not,
They have to have the training too.
I understand
to
that.
keep their certification.
I will, here's what I'm gonna do.
I'm not gonna argue
No,
about
I'm not arguing with you. Because I've spent a lot of time on this, and I know he has too. We're looking for a state statute that allows us to do it. If you can present one, I'm looking for it. He's looking for it. Mark's been looking for it. We're trying to find a way to do this. I can't. And so in good conscience, I can't spend the county's money to do something that I can't prove we should.
So,
Mr. Chairman, can I speak on this since it's about me?
yeah,
I submitted 3 claims for breakfast for the team to take care of them before training. It was brought to my attention that that can't be done. The information that I have thus researched and found, it is right. That is not a public purpose. Those funds can be spent for a public purpose. Breakfast is not considered. Going forward, I do want clarification if we're doing a training and lunchtime falls in the middle of that training, we stop for lunch. I want to know if that's a public purpose.
so your public purpose must not stop. And that's, we're getting in gray areas that an attorney will be able to help us hone in on. As long as your training never stops and there's a lot along the way, there's probably some things that can work in. No different than if you're on an emergency call that stretches from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and you supply food, you keep those volunteers on site because that affects their performance. So if they stay on site and food is pertinent to keeping them going, then that's the handbook for different. What's the difference is when the county employees go to lunchtime, we don't pay for their lunch.
Sure.
That's their time off. The time before training is their time off. That's their time. So that is where the differentiation begins. Is their time of training is time of training. The time before, the time after is their time. No different than any employee going to lunch break. So, Mark.
It's not that the travel policy cannot be amended to work in situations. We have that ability. The way it stands right now, even dinner is payable when an employee, and they're volunteers, they're not employees. So if this is something that everybody feels we need to cover, then we need to change policy.
But the policy still has to be in line with state statute. We
Correct.
can't set a policy that,
It's constitutional, yeah.
yes, that does not, agree with state statute. So we can't, as much as we might like to thank them and buy breakfast out of the goodness of our hearts, we're not a charity, and we just can't do that. Unless somebody can find a statute that says we can spend taxpayer dollars to send these gentlemen, maybe ladies, to breakfast, we just can't do it.
Can I ask Austin a question? Austin, how often do you do that?
We train once a month. The times that we have provided breakfast have been for the trainings during the winter months, which we typically do first aid, CPR, the trainings that we're usually at the station doing, not necessarily out on the water, that kind of thing.
Okay. And how much do you normally spend for breakfast?
Typically anywhere from, depends on how many shows up. It's their option if they want to come. Like those invoices, they were $50 and $60 is what they were. This Saturday, we have a first aid and CPR that I am having breakfast catered in. It's going to cost $90, and I'll pay that out of my pocket because I think they deserve it. And I am sure that going forward, I will continue to do that because they're my team and they deserve it. Mark, if I may, when someone is covered by workers' comp, doesn't that make them an employee?
I cannot answer that question for you, but I do know that you would have to be on duty.
Okay, well,
So getting them driving to the breakfast, they're not on duty because it's a voluntary. When you're on a call, then I would assume you are.
When we're training.
And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I love what you do, and I wish it would have just fell within it. But here's another thing, even with Jessica and any other elected official, the way our policy is right now, breakfast is payable when an employee is on travel status and leaves for county business at or before 6 a.m. So they have to go early for that. You have to ride home after 7 p.m. or we don't even pay for that.
And I understand what you're saying, but you're looking at a travel policy. The dive team is not a travel policy.
Then we don't pay anything.
That's the only policy that we have to pay for a meal right now, is that travel policy. And
But to be fair to taxpayers, we can't pay money out that we're not authorized to pay.
And I'm not arguing that. I'm not saying the county needs to pay that breakfast and all that. I'm not saying that. I've been going on based on what I've been told in the past, and
You guys
obviously
do-
that was incorrect, so.
You guys do a lot of work and a lot of time on your own, and I understand.
Any other discussion? So we have a motion on the floor to approve the bills. That was motion and seconded. We've had discussion to hold the 3 bills as discussed.
You need a motion to amend?
Motion to amend so Jeremy makes the motion to amend.
I made the motion to amend it.
Mark made the motion to amend. Jeremy seconded it. Motion, all in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Say aye. Aye. We're amending to remove the three bills. So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now we'll go to approval of the bills as amended. Whoever motioned and seconded that, there was a motion and second, I know there was.
Jeremy and Mark.
Jeremy and Mark, okay. We've had discussion. Roll call, please.
Mark Bennett,
This is
Yes.
Teresa,
Yeah.
Cody,
Yes.
Tim,
Tim Brown?
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Yeah.
Mark,
Yes.
Clay, Matt, Annette,
Yes.
Tad, Heath,
Yes.
Tim Morse,
Yes.
Laura Nelson,
Yes.
Yes.
David, Bobby,
Yes.
Sonny,
yes.
Don,
Yes.
Brent,
Yes.
Jeremy. Motion passes unanimously.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Cody makes a motion to adjourn, seconded by Jeremy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No, I don't want to.
Hey, Austin, Austin, Austin.